Good evening, everybody. I have not done a live stream in a while, so I'm actually turning my phone to silent right now. I am uh, have a little bit of fun information to report regarding the Epic live stream. Now, if you saw my comment, or rather the community posting I did earlier this week, or maybe it was last week, whatever it was, weeks one together, I talked about how I did a live stream and said that I was kind of vetting a few charities and I was gonna figure out which one was gonna be best for us. Well, I reached out to a few charities and not one of them followed up with me. When I tried responding and following up with them, they again did not respond to me. I have no idea why. It's like, people, I'm trying to help you fundraise at the very end of the year. And for whatever reason, they just did not want to participate or respond or something like that. Hello there, Pink Seplex. So I don't understand why that is, but I do want to start off by saying that the Epic live stream for 2022 is going to be on Friday, December 30th, 2022 at noon. So we're going to start. And what I'm going to be doing this year is going to be a little different. Instead of me doing it like I have in the past, where I just start a stream and go and go and go and go and go for whatever, what I'm going to commit to is 12 hours. However, if after 12 hours, we have at least $100 worth of donations to charity per hour, I will continue forth. That's the commitment that I'm going to be making. So as long as the $100, as long as we continue to make money for charity, it's not going to work if I only get like 2 or 3 people that are donating and $1 or $2. Last year, I kind of started to do that around, I think, the 16-hour mark. But what we're going to do is I'm going to commit to 12 hours, so 12 to 12, and then we'll go on and continue to go on as long as we have at least $100 worth of charitable donations. Now, the Epic live stream is a charity fundraiser, so it is something that we do. We click the little button on YouTube that says it is a fundraiser. That means any donations that you do through YouTube go directly to the charity. YouTube doesn't take a cut. I don't take a cut. I'm not involved in it at all. You can also go directly to the charity's website. Now, what I'm going to be doing this year, and this is the one time that I will actually do it because it's a charity live stream event. And this is actually something that I'm really happy about. What I'm going to be doing for this year's Epic live stream is allowing sound companies to sponsor 1 hour in exchange for them donating to charity. So that whatever the charity is that whatever we choose, we're going to have a $250 minimum donation per hour for a audio company to that charity. So we're guaranteed, as long as I can sell at least all 12 hours, we're guaranteed to have 12 donations of $250. So that's going to be $3,000 to the charity. So that's the bare minimum as far as I'm concerned. Anything that we make off of the charity is going to be additional to that. So as part of that, we're going to have a little logo, like you see my little SoundSpeeds logo up in the upper left-hand corner or upper right-hand corner, this little thing right up there. We're going to have logos that are going to match the company that sponsors the hour. And then we're going to continue forward as we do each hour. What I'm going to do is lead each hour with a quick little brief, spot like what you'd hear in advertisement or whatever else. And I'm going to end each hour the same kind of way. So it's going to be, roughly a minute or something like that, where I'm going to be talking about whatever the company is that sponsor it. I'm going to be thanking them and then moving on. And I think that's the very least we could do for a charitable donation. So that's going to be something that we're up to for that, which is going to be kind of cool. Hey, Richard, good to see you. So that is something that's going to be coming up Friday, December 30th, starting at noon Eastern Standard Time. And if you're wanting to be part of that or something like that, by all means, there are some people that literally join me the entire 12 hours plus, and they are there every single year, and they set an alarm. They are there when I log in. They are there when I leave, and I will follow along with them wherever they go all day long. They will literally just have me in their head all day long. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. There's also a couple of people that will reach out to me and say, hey, it's kind of funny. You are there. I'm just now waking up. You're there. And then they'll go off and do some stuff and they'll come back and say, you're still streaming. And then they come back later and they say, I'm having dinner now. You're still streaming. and then they're like, I'm about to go to bed and you're still streaming, and that kind of thing too. So we get all kinds of people for the Epic live stream, and it depends on, your schedule, whatever you happen to have going on. Sorry, I'm trying to set my microphone a little bit. There we go. So that way it's where I need it to be. Trying a different microphone here because unfortunately my Cat Equitech E100, the original vintage model that I like, it's no longer functioning. If I plug it up, it buzzes. One of the things I'm going to do at some point, I could almost do that, as a video, is see if I replace the batteries on the inside, if that makes it cooperate again. That's one of the questions I have is, the E100 original had two, low discharge batteries inside of it. And basically it's one of those things where you can very easily, if you want to, replace those batteries, and they will maintain the phantom power charge provided that they are low discharge batteries that are inside. Now, CAD originally, they released the E100 Equitech with two of their own branded batteries on the inside. There were 200 milliwatt hours, I believe they were. Very low for 9-volt batteries, but that's what was inside of them nonetheless. And those were included when you bought them. I replaced the ones that originally came with them that were slightly starting to leak a little bit, and I replaced them with two rechargeables that were also nickel metal hydride that were low discharge rate, and I think they were Tenergy or something like that. But what will happen over the course of time is if you don't turn off the power switch on the microphone, the thing will wear down. So I'm wondering if that is the reason why it's not cooperating anymore. If I turn it on, it buzzes a little bit sometimes it doesn't. So I'm wanting to remove the batteries, see if I don't even have the batteries engaged, does it still buzz? Because if so, then there's probably no hope for the microphone, unless I can find someone that wants to take it apart and try tinkering with it, which I do have one friend that might be willing to do that. Don't know. I have to ask him. I'm not about to take apart the E100. I just don't have the time. But anyway, yes, Andre, I am definitely here. If you would like to actually join me here, I am in StreamYard tonight. So if you want me to send you the link and have you come in here and cut up with me and joke or whatever else, I will gladly invite you. You are certainly somebody that I would have in here. I would also have like any of the usual suspects, the people I've had on before. Andrew, I did ask if he wanted to join me in here tonight. He said no, he doesn't want to. So whatever. Mic repair while eating a hot gummy bear sounds like a good plan. You know what? I'm not about to do that either, China Drum. That made a good video though. As far as I'm concerned, that video I thought was pretty fun. It was the I think the video thumbnail says this is a mistake. And I can never remember what the actual video was called, but it was something along the lines of making an XLR cable while eating the world's hottest gummy bear or something like that. It was a fun video. Jeff Cools, I've got a question. If I add sound absorbing phone in my Zeppelin at the back of the Sennheiser MKH416, will it help project sound coming out from the back of the mic? Okay. You don't want to do this, but to answer your question, you can. Now I'll tell you this. You don't need to use sound absorbing foam. If you use it in the Zeppelin at the back, then you're going to potentially if you jar it around or something like that, the microphone, it might end up hitting the back, bouncing off of it, and then you might end up hearing noise out of it. Now, one thing I did on Stranger Things, we did a scene that was cut from the show, but what they were basically doing is 11 and 8, her sister, were sticking their faces out of a sunroof and laughing and being silly and whatever as they were driving down the road. So what we did for that, even though they cut the entire scene, was since they were facing forward, cameras were also facing them. What I did is I took the Zeppelin. I have a picture of it. I'll see if I can find it on my phone here in a second. But what I did is I actually just, we put it inside of foam, inside of a Zeppelin, and then we put a fur on top of it. But for the back, like third, maybe half of it, I can't remember exactly how much, but on the back of it, maybe it was only like the last little bit, because those Zeppelins, as long as you travel forward, the wind hits it and it will go around. But I did not want, since the microphone was pointed at them and the wind was coming in from this direction, what I did is I put black paper tape all around the back of it and squished it down so that way it was snug to the back. and then I put the dead cat on top of it. And I did ask my sound mixer, who was riding in the front, and we basically hardlined it directly to him. He said he never heard any wind on it. So that means that basically it was making a kind of a what is it, an airfoil or whatever it is, and it went straight around and never got into the microphone. Now that is provided that it is facing that you're hitting the rear lobe. Now you're talking about acoustic foam. What that will do is two things. Number one is Zeppelins are designed to be acoustically transparent. And if you put something like that in the back, then basically what you're doing is canceling out the rear lobe as much as you can by reducing the audio, any sound that goes through that. We're keep in mind there's two different types of sound. There's two different types of treatment that you can do. There's sound absorbing material that is NRC rated, which is noise reduction coefficient, which is what you would use inside of something like your studio. And then there's STC, which is sound transmission class. Now, if you were to talk about the difference between the two of them, imagine STC is sound from the outside world trying to get through a wall or a surface, and you want to stop that sound from coming in to whatever the environment that you're recording in. Then there's NRC, which is not going to do as much to stopping outside sounds from coming in, but what it will do is prevent acoustic reflections on the inside. Like this is more of an NRC. I don't think this has an STC rating, this audio mute blanket, and neither does any of the other treatment that I have in here. So what you would want to probably get if you do something like that is something that has STC in it as opposed to NRC. But anything you put inside of your Zeppelin is going to interfere with the shock absorbent or the isolation that you have on the inside. It may stop the wind. It may stop the outside sounds from coming through, and that's just fine. But keep in mind that the Zeppelin, when you put a microphone in there, the curve, provided you're talking about a Rycote and not like a Sonella, which is made for one particular microphone, the front of the Zeppelin is here, and you want the microphone to basically come up to not like deeper here. You'd want it to not be closer to the end. You want it to be basically where there's even amount of distance all the way around from the end of that microphone. So ideal sweet spot on that would be the curve is here, and you want to have it so that way it's perfectly centered right where the curve starts. So that way this is like it would almost be like, an arch starts from right there at that point. And that's the ideal sweet spot, at least in my opinion, on where you would want to have your microphone. But anything you put inside the Zeppelin is going to interfere with the shock absorbent material on the backside of the microphone. So the backside of the microphone, when you plug in the XLR, if you jam anything in there, anything you do is going to be touching the microphone and transferring noise directly into it. And you don't want to do that. On the outside of the Zeppelin, that's a different story. So that's at least what I would tell you to is the best thing. And Jeff, while I have you here, I might as well see if I could try to find that picture from Stranger Things real quick. If I can, I'll show it right now. I believe it was, let's see, when was that? That was 2017. I'm going to see if I can find that picture. Probably around here. Let me see if I can find the picture real quick. Because if I can, it'd be a really cool ad to be able to show. Oh, I'm in the wrong year. That was 2018. Okay. Because it was a pretty cool rig and it sounded flawless. And I really wish that they would not have cut that from the show, but it's only in recent years that they started to just go longer and longer and longer. The last two episodes of this most recent season 4 went on forever. It really did. And it worked well for a lot of people. To me, I thought it was getting kind of long. 2 hours and I think 40 minutes or something like that for the very last episode that they aired. To me, I think they could have chopped about half of that out there. It seemed to be very long, in my opinion. Let me see if I can find this. I'm through February right now. Unfortunately, I take a lot of pictures, and for whatever reason, I'll have a lot of pictures of meat. I have no idea why I have pictures of meat sitting here, but there's I'm taking a lot of pictures of meat. So there's some of the pumpkin patch that they had in one of the episodes. Moving on. Sorry, this is probably not the most entertaining part of this stream, but I'm trying to find this picture. Oh, that was a funny story. He had an AC that just got through getting one of his, actually, I'll show the picture real quick since I'm passing it. We had an AC that just got through getting a jacket from a show. And if you notice it right here, it's the back of his jacket's melted. The reason why is because it was cold out that night, and he was standing in front of one of the fires, and he didn't realize that if he got too close to it, one of the not fires, it's like an electric heater that you put in there is gas powered or whatever. And it was really funny because he backed up too close to it, and it melted the back of this jacket. He only was issued like a day or two before. Fun times. I'm getting very close. Oh, this was also something kind of cool. New VFX guy showed up on Stranger Things. We had no idea who this guy was. We had never seen him before, or anything like that. But then when he took off his outer jacket and he had swag that read this, Star Wars effects crew, we're like, oh, instant cred. What do you know? Okay. So I took that picture. I asked him if I could take a picture of that because I figured it would be, there we go. Found the picture. Okay. So, okay. This is the rig that we set up. And if you can see that right there, that's the rig that I set up. If you're still watching, Jeff. So we have the Area Alexa camera right there that we were shooting on. And this is the rig that I connected up on, you see the gobo arm sticking out by the grips. This is the rig on top of the vehicle. And this inside was facing them. I thought it was underneath the Zeppelin, but I guess it wasn't. So that's what I ended up doing. And it was actually tight to it. So that was what I mounted on there. It ended up working flawlessly. Mixer had 0 issues, said that it sounded really good. So that's what we ended up doing. And it basically knocked any of the wind off the rear lobe that would have been going into the microphone. So we ended up getting the girls as they were just laughing and joking and look at this, look at that. Ah, ha, ha. Fun times. So anyway, okay. Have you tried it with a high pass on and off? I have 2 E100 mics and one of them makes a horrible sound when I turn on the high pass. I don't know. I don't recall. This was this is before, no, it was right about the time that I did the review of the E100 SX. And about that time, I was like, you know what? I was able to make it not make that sound long enough to compare it to the E100 SX in the review. But when I tried to just put it on the arm and use it afterwards, it started making that sound. I have not tried that though. Very interestingly enough, though, for whatever reason, on my DBX 286S down here, if I hit the 80 hertz high pass button right there to roll it off, it actually adds bass. I have no idea why. If I engage it for whatever reason, it makes me sound more bassy. So, oh no, now it's actually working right. It used to be that it was reversed. It added more bass. Now it actually rolled me off. So it sounds okay. So it's back to normal now. But that was one of the things that was really weird about it. It actually did that for a while. So I'd love to, but it's been a long weekend. Okay. About to hit the sack. Okay. Well, Andre, text me tomorrow and I'll tell you what I had going on this last weekend, and you can tell me if you were more busy than I was. Wayne. Hi, Alan. I think I saw somewhere you're getting a DJI Osmo Action 3. What prompted that decision? The guy right above your comment, worth it or not, actually. And I'll tell you, I'm not getting it anymore because of that guy right there and a guy named Ian Craig, who both are great content creators that I was looking forward to the Osmo Action 3. I really was. I was thinking about using that, and I'm the king of impulse buys. It's like, on one of the live streams I did, I think the last one I did, I was like, oh, why don't I buy that right now while I was on the air? I forgot what the microphone was. Was it Audio Technica AT 275, 675, whatever it was. I can't remember. But I think I used it for a couple of weeks and then I put it in the drawer over. I'll never see it again. No, it's over there. It's over there. I'll take it out and experiment with it or play with it some other time. But for the most part, I'm terrible with my impulse buys. So I was going to, after watching, them watching both Ian Craig and Andre talk about the Action 3, I said, you know what? I think I might jump on that. But then I started seeing the reports. Then I started seeing both of those guys saying, it looks a little soft focus. And I was thinking the same exact thing when I was watching their videos. I was like, no, that's soft. So I actually did a collaboration video with Andre that he ended up putting up on his channel, where I tried to see if I could use something like Topaz AI to upscale it and therefore sharpen the image and see if that's enough. No, you cannot fix lens what is it? Focus. It's when the lens is not calibrated correctly. to the the one lens has to either talk to the image sensor, or it has to hit the next lens and be perfectly aligned, because if it's too far in or out, it's going to be out of focus. And that's the way it is basically on at least some of the Action 3s. Supposedly, some of them are corrected now. Me personally, I do know that they did release a firmware update, and that firmware update, they seem to think that it's going to somehow digitally correct an issue, but it looks like all it did was apply sharpness. I'm not interested in that. I'm going to be waiting for the Action 4. As you know, I'm also a fan of the Pocket 2. There's supposed to be, I thought, be a Pocket 3 out at some point, but they have not released that. Maybe it was based on the Action 3, and then they said, well, since we're having image issues with that, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should go back to the drawing board and kind of redesign that, or fix the issue there before we release the Pocket 3. I'm not 100% sure, but I am watching and waiting for that. Not that I need it, but if it's really cool, if it extends the battery life and stuff, because one thing I'm not happy about with the Pocket 2 is that it has a battery saver mode, or it has a high performance mode. To me, I don't think that that's a compromise you need to make on your tech. To me, it should just be, oh, do you want it to be high quality and you want it to have the best possible battery life? Yes, well, you got it. That's what it is. You don't have to choose. I'd like it to last a little bit longer, not overheat. Because any device that overheats, if it's a camera or something sound related, what happens is it's not proper power being utilized correctly. Electronics will get hot when you use them, but if you power them less, they will not be as hot. So it's just like anything else. When you convert power to heat, that is basically being vented off. It's lost. So like when you do that with light, you convert power to light, it's going to emit heat, which is incandescent lights. If you end up having fluorescent lights, it puts off a little bit of heat, and LED lights puts off even less. But it also is the design of the light fixtures and that kind of thing. But anyway, so what am I going to do regarding, am I going to get the Action 3? No, I'm not. Oh my goodness, I was about to go to bed when I saw this. Okay, I'll stay up. Red Junior James. Okay, sure thing. Jingle Bell Sounds Streams, everyone's awake. Yeah. Liberty Dude, what are you thinking about Mr. Sound Speeds? Well, I just had a lot of things going on. It's kind of started off the stream by talking about the Epic live stream and how the charities I approached to vet, I talked to one person from each of the two charities that I was talking to on the phone, and both of them ghosted me. It's like, people, I'm trying to help you fundraise at the very end of the year, and they will not respond to my emails or my calls anymore. My calls go to voicemail. They never follow back up. I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? I'm going to find someone that does want to be the focus of the Epic live stream. I don't need to hunt down people and tell them, hey, guess what? You're going to have some donations. Would you like some donations? And I don't understand that. It's really crazy to me. Anyway, is there a new piece of gear you're looking forward to buying in the new year? Yes. This is where I am so bad. I'm so bad. I spend so much money on things I shouldn't. I don't need to. I had a friend that came into town a couple of weeks ago, and I just wanted to have a blast. I don't have people come to visit me very often. Friends, I'm also very busy at work constantly, and when I can take a break, I really like to take a break. And I had a friend that came to visit a couple of weeks ago, and when he was here, we went all over the place. It was a blast. I had a blast, but I also spent a lot of money, and that's on top of me buying constantly stuff that's being used behind the scenes for sound speeds and just everything else I have going on. I also bought this editing PC, and that was $1,400, which I had not planned on doing, but I needed to get it urgently right then when I did. So I impulse bought it like I always do. So to answer your question though, one of the things that I really want to get this upcoming year is the Insta360 V3. It's $450. So, I mean, if you happen to have $450 and you want to throw it at me, I will end up using it, and I'll tell you what I'm planning on using it for. I'm going to... Do I really want to say this? What I'm going to do is extend my test of the Speed Bumps podcast. I already have 2 more recorded. I'm finishing this show up on Tuesday, and we're shooting in overnight. So I mean, I could do the typical thing of record overnight and have it be like the color black and white camera or color night camera. But the thing is, though, that's what I will end up buying. Probably one of the first things I'll buy next year is the Insta360 camera. And what I'm looking at doing, I'll go ahead and spill the beans, I guess, is what I'm looking at doing is I've already got 13 episodes released. I have 2 more in the can. So all I need to do is edit them. What I've kind of fallen into the routine of doing, at least while I'm doing while I'm working on shows that are more responsible and not trying to kill us by doing 14-hour days, one of the things I'm able to do is I'm able to record those on the drive home. And if I can get the system down and streamline the process, then I will continue it for at least 25 total episodes. So that's 10 more episodes. So that would be a total of 25. And one of the things I would also do is if I can get that Insta360 camera, I think that would be really cool to have for the Speed Bumps podcast. The reason being is how many times have I been driving down the road and said, whoa, this dude's trying to cut me off. Or that dude just, whatever. Or, oh, I didn't realize that shop was right there. I think it'd be kind of cool to have the camera on me and then instantly be able to whip it around there and have it without me manually controlling it, have that happen to get whatever I'm looking at. So if I'm saying, oh, look at that, and then all of a sudden have the camera go whoosh, whip around, or maybe it does that in advance, or maybe the screen splits and part of it's on me, part of it's on whatever I'm looking at. And so that way you can see in real time what it actually was that affected me. So I thought that'd be kind of cool. So I would end up extending the test to see if I can make that work. That's what I thought would be kind of cool. Alan, take pictures of the beef. Yes, I take a lot of pictures of meat because I like meat. I'm very much a carnivore. I love meat. Not sure if you saw me question for self noise on the DD S-Mic 2S compared to the MKE 600 self noise. Didn't know you went live. Was it the comment that was just made right as I was starting the stream? Because if so, let me see. I saw that there was one comment that came in right as I went live. Yeah, that was you. Yeah, I'll respond to you later. Yeah, if you want me to respond to you now, not sure if you saw me question for the self noise of the S-Mic 2 compared to. I've never used the MKE 600. But I know people that do. It's not as polished as the 416. It's not as polished as the MK series Sennheiser, but it is a good series, and it kind of bridges the gap. It's a good series to use if you're a prosumer, if you do like content creation. It's perfectly fine. So I mean, it's one of those things. So yeah. So hey, Alan, how you doing? I'm doing fine. Any advice for somebody going to get their first project as a boom operator? Have you watched the 3BO series? If you have not, then I strongly recommend it. It will at least get you mentally in the game because the boom operator position, people always think of it as, oh, I'm the guy that holds the pole over my head. Well, yes, that is partially true. That is what a boom operator partially does, but it's only a small part of what a boom operator does. Managing the set for the sound department, paying attention to things, figuring out where microphones need to go, how you need to cover things, that kind of thing. That's really important. The operations part of the position is very critical. And the operations part in general is what a boom operator is really is what the specialization of the boom operator actually is. So you really want to do something along those lines. Is learn how to operate. You really want to learn how to do that. So the 3BO series does train on that. There is something I have in the works. I'm not ready to really talk about it just yet, but I will It will be next year. There will be something that will help boom operators also. And yes, if you watch the video where I did the reaction to the Rode video, the Rick Veers guy, I am in the process of working also on a boom operator technique training video. I don't know yet how I want to do it. I'm thinking about doing it like I did with my sound utility class and putting it behind a paywall. I'm thinking about that because you see, the thing is, though, I'm not going to disrupt my normal content creation here on Sound Speeds, but at the same time, I need to shoot that, edit that. That would be totally separate, and I still have a day job. Still have 60 hours. Well, technically, we wrap on Tuesday. But with this other project I have going on here, that's gonna take quite a bit of time too, and I'll tell you this, I have some reviews that have been sitting on for a long time. I need to get those things done, and unfortunately, it takes a while. The deity time code video, as of the time that I'm doing this live stream, which is 10:31 PM right now on December 11th, it is not done yet. And I've done a lot of the segments. I just need to actually record the presentation part of the video. Everything is scripted out. I already have all my roll-ins. I already have everything that I'm going to be using. All the testing has been done. I know what it is that my opinion is. No, I'm not going to give you any spoilers on that right now. I wanted to have it done by tomorrow, but unfortunately, because of what happened last week, I'm not able, which I'm not going to go into here. I was unable to actually get the video done. I wanted to try to record some, record the presentation part of it and then edit it. I wasn't able to finish it. I've actually shot and edited quite a bit of it, but not the presentation parts, the voiceover parts, the B-roll's done. Everything is done basically, except for the presentation point, which is me talking to the camera and that kind of thing. So that's what I have coming up. But there was a tangent for you, what you need to do regarding getting going for your first project as a boom operator. Understand how to run the set, basically, and that's training from the 3BO series. That's going to help you tremendously. Also understanding how to do certain things like walk and talks, that will help you. Understanding camera height. If you do a search on YouTube for sound speeds, boom, sound, or just start at the very beginning of my playlist. Go all the way back. It's over 400 videos, I know. But if you scroll way back, because YouTube was good enough to remove the oldest, option, so you cannot sort by oldest videos anymore, which is really, really annoying. Because if someone has a couple of thousand videos or something like that, you're going to be scrolling forever to get back to their earliest content, if there's something that you really want to see. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of the videos originally that I started with on this channel was videos that I was going to use to support the classes I teach in the real world. I just taught a class yesterday on boom operating techniques. I did record it. It is nothing I will be airing on Sound Speeds. And the reason why is because, first of all, I don't have waivers or releases on anybody that was there, even though it wouldn't be hard for me to get some of them. It was also a class that was being paid to teach. And I do that. I actually will be paid to teach certain classes, certain places to certain people. And I do public speaking and that kind of thing too when asked. So, and I've also done this via Zoom. So I'll do that. I also do consulting. So if you happen to have any, you want to talk or whatever else, normally my minimum consulting fee is $50 an hour. If you are a viewer of Sound Speeds and you mention that you're a viewer and you wanted to try to get me, I'll consult with you for $25 an hour. So that's what I'll do. And that's one-on-one Zoom training or answering questions or whatever. I'll do that. But if you want the stuff that's free, that's free and open on the channel, go to Sound Speeds, go through my archive and look for anything that looks like it's boom operator related. I keep saying I'm going to go back and make a playlist that's called boom operating or boom operator. I just need to actually do it. And maybe I actually need to set myself a note. Let me actually do that because I've been saying I want to do this for a while, but I'm going to create a boom operator playlist. And if I can do that, then I'll have it on the channel. So that way, if you are a boom operator and you want to know how to do certain techniques, you want to understand camera height, you want to know the invisible boom technique, what you got to ask for and how, that kind of thing is listed. And I have videos about those. and it would probably benefit people if they knew about them. So I'm going to try to do that and create a playlist, probably, hopefully before the Epic live stream, so I can announce it at that event. So anyway, but for the most part, I would say watch the 3BO series. It will give you quite a bit of training, and watch through my past videos. Look for anything related to boom. Do a search for sound speeds boom, and we'll see what comes up. What kind of charity? Please support community media organizations. Yes. Um, I've looked into that. I like helping children. I also like helping veterans. The first year we did veterans children's no, it was a children's hospital fund. I think out of Oklahoma. They sent me a really nice package. They sent me a care package with a handwritten note from the president. Very, very thankful. They were really, really gracious. I really appreciate that. And they told me what they were going to spend the money on too. And I did a live stream, and I read out part of that. And then I realized after it aired, like as soon as it aired, as I was doing it, I'm like, oh, I just held up something with my address on it. Luckily, I don't live there anymore, but I was able to use the YouTube blur tool and blur it out, which was kind of cool. So if you go back and you watch the video that was after the first Epic live stream, I think you'll see this big blur that goes through at some point. That was me editing it on the YouTube thing. Luckily, I don't live there anymore. So so even if you went to that old place and you're like, oh well, where did Alan from Sound Speeds live? You're gonna find I don't live there anymore. So anyway, all right. I'm DeBrown. I think it's I'm DeBrown. I always look at that as I'm DeBrown, and then there's ears. So you have 3 ears. That's kind of cool. Love to see you. Love to see you have your Banjo mood lamp on. Oh, I was the one that told him about these. I was the one that got these. So and I started using them, and there's a couple of times that I'll be I just when I edit, I would prefer not to leave the studio lights on. So if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to edit with lights on, I could very easily kill these and leave the little mood light on, and it works great for me. But I'm not going to uh it's not too bright, it's not uh too obtrusive, it's not in my face, it's not hot because it's LED, but it's a soft light, and I really like fire. You know, fire. When I was a kid, I used to love going to bonfires. There was a bonfire that we used to go to in Calhoun, Georgia, every single year, and they would put the big logs on there, and then they would start building up the little things around that and underneath it, and we would start to and right as the sun started to set, they'd light it up, and it would get really really hot, and we would sit there and just watch the fire. And it was funny because this is back in like the early 80s when you didn't have cell phones. You didn't feel like there was this big sense of urgency. You had to do everything, but it was in the woods at this dude's house. He had this big, huge house in the backyard. You walk a little ways down, and he would make a bonfire down there every single year, and he'd invite a bunch of people. We would drive up to Calhoun, Georgia, and we would do that. And I have a lot of memories about that. There's a really cool picture of me as a kid where I'm like 6, 7 years old, something like that. And I'm just sitting there looking at it. And it's this fire gazer picture that my grandmother has, and she keeps it up. And I think at some point in time, I will inherit it. It's a cool picture. I'd rather have her, obviously, but it will end up coming to me. And I may show it at some point. I mean, it's just a picture of me as a kid, you know, who wants to see that? But anyway, so 360 degree camera is very dangerous. It records 360 all the time. When you post 360 video, the viewer gets to sweep the 360 view. At least that is my understanding. Okay. It has a software, Liberty. I understand your concern. It has a software that actually allows you to crop in. So you know how I am on the Speed Bumps podcast. I always like to blur things. So what I would do on this is I would bring in the footage that I record into the software, and then you could basically, it will lens correct, and so that way it's a standard shot, and you can either set it to like 4K, 2K, whatever you want it to set to, and that will be your frame. You can rotate it, spin it, whatever else. If you look up the Insta360 V3, it's pretty cool how it's able to work. But anyway, so that's that. Um where is this? Okay. All right. Now I'm in the right place. Sorry. I was looking at this. I was like, is this right? Um, so it would not be on all the time in a 360 world. It would basically be just focused on me, and I could zoom in, crop, or whatever I wanted to. But I would at will, when I render the video file out from it, I could choose it to be cropped in at however I want it to be. I could have the camera whip around, spin upside down, do whatever I wanted it to do, all within the software. So that's what I would be doing. Oh, amazing. I hoped you'd do a video on proper technique. Thank you for the advice. I've been watching the 3BO series a bit, taking notes. Yes, it's a great series. And he says, also, heck yeah, I love the 3BO series. A few years ago, did my first real project at Boom Operator, and I watched the whole series. Good. Well, hopefully it helped you. Um, that was one that it's not watched by a lot of people because it's obviously a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche, just like this channel is. And so it's really weird. This channel is a combination of people that are audio enthusiasts. There are some people that are interested in pro audio stuff. There's a lot of sound pros that just do not subscribe to YouTube channels. But if I ever post a video in a pro sound forum, talking about like the repos from Hide to Mic recently or the Boom Operator, that will easily get 1,000 views in a day simply because it's a pro topic and I post about that. And that's usually when people will see will see it and they'll say, "Oh, this is SoundSpeeds is on this. That's cool." And I'll usually answer a lot of the questions that they're interested in. How did being a Boom Operator get you into reviewing consumer mics? I hope your day is going well. You have a wealth of information. I appreciate what you do. Okay. Originally on this channel, one of the things I was told, sorry, is that if you did reviews, that would help you to kind of become discovered. I didn't really want to get into reviews. I was thinking about, do I really want to do it? Do I not want to do it? And ultimately, I said, you know what? I like concentrating on the pro audio topics, but let me at least see if there's anything I could add to this. So I put the word out, or at least when I shouldn't say I put the word out. When I was contacted from people asking if I'd want to review something, I said, sure, I'll review whatever this is. But then I started saying, I don't want this. I don't want that. I'm not going to do it in a USB microphone. No, I'm not going to do that. One of the first things I did is I committed to toner. And I said, I will do 2 of your mics. Because they asked, we have a couple of things. Would you do a review of we have a product now that I can send you, and then we have another microphone later. They told me that they could send me one now, and then they had another microphone that they were really happy about, and they would like to send me also. And I was like, sure. I wasn't going to do a crazy, deep review like I did of the BBTRX from Deity or anything like that, obviously. But I said, sure, I'll do it and see how it goes. And the first thing was a microphone. I told them that I wanted USB microphones and something that was along, something that consumer audio enthusiast professional, something like that would like. Well, granted, it's toner, so it's not going to be great. And I was like, I'll at least see if there's anything that you could maybe take, some stuff and tweak it and make it even better. First thing they sent me was, what was that thing? I think it was a handheld, like a handheld stick mic. And I remember looking at that and saying, I don't want to review this, but I tell you what, if you send me something that's more of an XLR microphone next time, I'll go ahead and do this now. Then what they did is they turned around and they said, okay, we have the next microphone sent to you. I'm like, cool, awesome. I already told them what I wanted, and this time it was a headset mic. Furthermore, it was a piece of crap, in my opinion. So I ripped it pretty hard. I even said, one of the comments I think I said was, I don't think this microphone needs to exist. I think they need to go back to the drawing board, and then I continued from there. But that's at the very end of it. It's this headset mic. I was not happy when they sent it to me. I was not happy with the quality of the thing. And I said, you know what? I'm at least going to do that. And I thought that if I did at least a couple of reviews, it would give people the idea that being a pro, I can also add something that other people might not, think about when they come to review products. If you saw me review something, maybe you'd be interested. So I decided at that point I was going to try to review at least a couple of things that were offered, even though I have the ability to probably reach out to a lot of the pro manufacturers and say, "Can you send me this to demo and I'll do a review about it?" I don't want to do that. I don't want to end up going crazy, going through all the feature sets and testing everything just to, especially in the early days when I was unestablished and had people say, "I don't know this is a boom operator. Why is he testing a wireless system or a recorder that is high end?" I'd rather have a mixer do that. So I was like, I kind of want to establish myself before I get into the pro world, but at least want to establish myself also as someone that can do reviews. So after doing those, I kind of started accepting more microphones that were more in my wheelhouse or more products that were more in my wheelhouse. Reviews are not anything I really enjoy doing a whole lot of. I'm very selective about them. As a matter of fact, right now, I'm not accepting anything more for a review, except I have put the word out to, I have a contact at Rycote. There is a very little talked about omni, cardioid, and supercardioid microphone that they have, which are kind of which are kind of their microphone versions of the HC15, HC22, but it's different microphones in that series. So they're not the short shotgun or the micro shotgun microphones. These are some others, but they've not been talking about that. So I just learned about them like a week or two ago, and I said, if you want to send those to me, I'll make an exception and accept something new. Right now, though, I have too many products over there I need to get through. That's why you saw me do the Worker Bee recently, the Worker Bee 2. You saw me do the Repose Hide-A-Mic. You saw me do the Boom Operator. Those were a couple of things that were specialty tools that I was very interested in doing. But there's other things that I need to get through. There's even a boom pole over there that I want to do it justice because it deserves it. But luckily, I don't think it's going to require me going in as deep that I did with K-Tech or with Ambient, simply because those products you can modularly change them. You can internally cable them. You can do a lot of that kind of stuff. This pole has been unchanged for well over a decade. It's a very simple design. It's a very clean design, and there's not been any changes or anything to just stay the course and do the product. So I think I'm going to be able to do, as opposed to a 30 or 25-minute long review, I think I could probably do it and make it a very polished, very good review in maybe 8 to 10 minutes. So I want to do it justice because it definitely deserves it. It's the Pandemic Maxi. It's their longest pole. I think it's a 16-footer, 14-footer, something like that. But it's a very nice pole, and I want to do it justice. So anyway, that's another review. So that's how I got kind of into reviewing some of the consumer microphones, just as a rite of passage to show people that I can do reviews. And then I figured that I might be able to pick and choose what I wanted to do if I were offered a little bit. Then I kind of said, okay, I'll at least review a little bit better things, a little bit better things, a little bit better things. Then some manufacturers started sending me stuff or wanting to send me stuff, and I turned them down. There's a lot of products I still turn down now because I just don't want to review everything. Plus, there's so many people out there that review stuff. And as you know, in a lot of my videos, I basically say, if it's a review, do you really want me to do the same test out there that everyone else does? Or would you like to see a fresh new perspective or the way that people aren't testing it? Like, for example, the deity timecode stuff. I could very easily read the stuff on the internet, the website, show some of the specs, show some of this and that, or I could get in there and do some deep testing on it, which is what I did. And if I could get the video done, which is going to be my goal for the Monday before Christmas, what would that be? 12th and 19th. So December 19th is when that video is going to be set to release. Again, I've shot everything. I've done everything I need to for it, except the presentation point part of it. And unfortunately, because I'm not the best, I can talk pretty good in a live stream. I can sit here and just talk, yak, whatever, talk sound with you. But when it comes down to presenting polished topics or saying words, lines that I've written, it will take me forever. It will take me over and over again. I have a video called Sound Speed. What is it? It's called Outtakes. What is it? Making a Sound Speeds episode with outtakes, something like that. I don't know. But if someone wants to do a search for Sound Speeds with outtakes or something like that, there's a blooper reel and there's outtakes, and it's Making a Sound Speeds episode or something like that. It's like 20 minutes long. But there's a lot of outtakes, and I glitch my words constantly. You will never see me live stream shooting an episode because it's constantly me messing up, me flubbing a word, laughing and joking at myself. And then I'll usually end up, it'll end up being an 8-minute long video by the time I'm done. And I was recording it for 3 hours. And by the end, I'm cussing every time I mess up something, where I'm gritting my teeth and glaring and whatever else. It's kind of funny when you go back and watch the footage. But anyway, so consumer mics were basically a stepping stone to show people I could do reviews, or I would do reviews, and that's where we're at. So I think I've answered that and gone around in a circle. So Rick on mic, what are your thoughts on Rode Video? Rode Video mic, the NTG? Yeah, I don't have one. I was offered one, not from Rode, but from someone else who actually got one, and then they said, "Would you like to use this to review?" But thing is, though, I'm not dealing with loaned gear anymore. If you watch my DPA, my relationship with DPA video, I was a part of their Masters Club long before. It was basically because of my enthusiasm and love for their products that they included me in their. They asked me to join their Masters Club, but it's not something that I have to show loyalty or brand loyalty to them. It has nothing to do with the fact that my favorite microphone is a 4017B. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's because of my love for their products that they invited me to be part of the club. I don't get any benefits anymore. I should say I had on permanent loan anything I wanted. Basically, I could contact them and say, "Can I add this to my Masters Club kit?" But I turned it in. I turned it in because I was borrowing things for sound speeds, and unless it's for a particular video, I don't want to deal with loaned gear anymore. So I told them, I'm going to be sending this back because I don't want to deal with loaned gear anymore. And they're like, "No, we love what you do. Please keep this." No, I'm going to send it back. And they're like, "No, please keep it." I'm like, "No, I'm going to send it back. I'm not going to make an exception for any company." So anything I'm sent, um, unless it's for a video that I'm going to be reviewing and then returning because I requested it, I'm not going to be taking loaned gear. If there was I was offered like the Zoom F6 after a few other content creators had basically gotten it and done testing. I mean, after Curtis Judd had it, and I'm like, what am I going to add to that? He did a great job with his video. There's other people that did a great job with it. Do you want me to test the quality of the preamps and test this and that and whatever and really scream into the thing? Yeah, I'm sure you would. But if you really want me to do the same test that everyone else does, fine, I'll do them. But it's going to be boring to me. It's not going to be entertaining. The video is going to end up with 400 views after a month. It's going to be buried 16 videos down, like many of mine are. And it's like, what am I going to be adding? So a lot of those types of things, if I borrow something, it's got to be something I want to be involved with. I want to review. So I actually approached somebody recently about a microphone that I love, that I said, I said, "I'm very interested in this microphone." And he just kind of, it was in person. He kind of looks at me like this. "Okay, so what do you want to do?" And I was like, well, geez, he just didn't even really want to hear me out at all. And so at that point, I totally changed. I'm like, "No, I was just telling you I love it. I love the microphone. If I got my hands on one, I would do this and this and this." He's like, "Oh, yeah. Well, you can buy one." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I sure can, can't I?" I was like, "Yeah, like I need more gear. I don't need more gear. I constantly say I don't want more gear. Um, I don't have a reason or a desire to have an entire storage, facility full of gear that I don't use. To me, it seems kind of wasteful. Yes, I know I could sell it, or I could give it away. As a matter of fact, that's something I should say. Um, I do have a few microphones to give away. I have 2 microphones. I have one other thing that's going to be given away during the Epic live stream. I'm not going to say what they are, but I will say that it's going to be really cool. So I'm really excited about that. Looking forward to it. And so yeah, there's that. But anyway, so what are my thoughts on the video? If it's the Rode Video NTG, it's cool. It implements better the same thing the Deity vMic D3 Pro did, which is where you stick it in there. It's able to figure out the pinout, and it basically turns itself on. So you don't have to press and hold like you do with the DoD. And then after 15 minutes, if you didn't use it, then it would shut itself off. And then people would record a video and then say, where's my sound? It's because the thing went into standby mode when it wasn't used for 15 minutes, or it would wear down the battery because it would stay on forever after a firmware update. Some people said that. So it's like, it basically was able to detect whenever you have something plugged up to it. And when you unplug it, it turns itself off. So it implemented that a little bit better, I think. But with regards to that, I think it's great. It's basically a fatter diameter version of the NTG5. I like the NTG5 a lot. I think it sounds really good. And so yeah. So it's a top of camera microphone. Alan, do you have any recommendations for low cost lavs for electrosonic transmitters? I really don't want to sacrifice DPAs on a budget shorts. No budget shorts. Yes. Okay. What I will tell you in this sense is what you're probably going to want to do is I'm going to open up a separate window here, and I'm going to share my screen here for a second. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what I would recommend. Depending on your budget, obviously. Where is the present? Okay, there it is. Present, share screen, window. Okay. And we're going to add this in there. So this is an incognito browser. And let's go to Google. And we're going to do Oscar Sound Tech. Now, this is if you have no budget, or if you're working on no budget shorts and you don't want to kill yourself. The TL40 is a poor man's Senken COS 11D. I say poor man's because it is by no means a substitution for that, but it is if you have to put a small microphone inside of something, you want it to sound kind of COS 11D sound, kinda. It's got that brightness to it. The TL40 is usually one of the ones that you could resort to. And that's usually one that you will see a lot of people do. TL40 frequency response, see how it dies pretty much after the vocal frequency. So it basically around about it shows here closer to being flat around 300, but it's lower frequencies. You could easily it sounds better than it does. I think it's because this is probably tested like most microphones at a distance. But when you have something like this right there on your chest, it's going to pick up more bass anyway. So it does sound good. And then it rolls off the highs, basically anything but above, what is it, 13K right there, something like that. So the OST, Oscar Sound Tech TL40 is a good one. It is an end address. And they also have one that looks like a Sonotram, or rather a tram. And this one right here is the OST 801, 802. So this one here, it does boost off the tail end. So it does boost and has that brightness to it. But those are a couple of microphones that if you got, I think the OST, what's it, the TL40? Let me see. OST TL40 was, I think, like $80. Pro Sound, what are you selling it for? 110 now. So it's probably because it's the last time I looked at it was probably 10 years ago. So you can expect it to go up. But if you want to add cabling option for different lavs, these are a couple of options. Now, looking at this for Electrosonics 150, you know what I would actually do instead then? Because I personally really like, and this is why I reviewed them. Oh, URL scam? Oh, my I don't know if you saw that or not or heard that, but that was my my Avast saying, "Hey, this might be a scamming website. It's DD Microphones. It's not a scam website. Let's go to DD Microphones. DD Mic. So DD Mics with an S. That's what I typed in there. Okay, so where is Lavalier, WLab Pro, and Micro? Look at the Pro here. WLab Pro, I really like. Ooh, it's $100. Look at that. That's your winner right there. It's $100 now? It went down? This is the WLab Pro. It's not the WLav. I'm not a huge fan of that one. Oh, you quote Curtis Judd? You don't quote me? You don't have my review, my epic review? Of course not. You put Curtis is on there. That's okay. Curtis is amazing. Let's see here. Okay, but then there's the WLAV Micro. Let's see what their price was. It used to be $169, $140. Is that what it was when it scrolled by there? And of course, you happen to have his quote again there too. What, did I not give you any quotes you liked? What is this? 43 foot-pounds cable strength. Maybe I didn't try yanking it, twisting it, whatever. But anyway, so 140. So those are two options. And I would actually say that if you're talking about budget, since these are now cheaper than the OSTs, I would go the DD mic. The WLAV Pro sounds great. It's a great microphone for the money, especially, you know, when compared to anything else. OST TL40s, those used to be when they were like 70 or 80 bucks. That was a long time ago, apparently. And the Deity now, in my opinion, would trump that. So I would say get the Deity ones because you're not going to be disappointed if you do that. What are your thoughts on the road? Okay, it's the same exact question. What are your thoughts on the video mic Go 2? I have no thoughts on that. Sorry. I don't really get into video mics anymore. I did a couple of I did like the Deity VMic D3 and D3 Pro. The D3 Pro I didn't have to do a review about. So what it is, I did a comparison like the two of them compared in like 60 seconds or something like that. The D3 and the D3 Pro. That video didn't do so well. So Rode Video Mic Go 2, I'm sure it sounds great because they do a great job with on top of camera microphones. I've always wondered, what do boom operators use in ear monitors on set? I've heard that they're a big no-no. Never heard why. Okay. It's not so much that they're a big no-no. A lot more people are actually converting over to IEMs. Here's the thing you got to be aware of. People have different styles. They have different desires. If you use headphones on set, me personally, I like to be able to hear through them. So I like the Sony MDR 7506s. You can hear through them just fine. That way, if I hear directionally a sound, I'm like, the sound's over there. Then I do this number and I say, what is that? You know, what is that sound? And so that way I'm not listening both ears inside anymore. I'm listening to one ear outside to try to, you know, since I know the sound direction, I point that ear over there. So that is one thing I will say is that a lot of people are still using headphones. If you happen to go the IEM route, the first, well, I mean, like there's some really good Shure ones. JK Audio makes some really good ones now. Who else? Mina, who you saw my review about. They make a really good universal. And I think Curtis just got through talking about the universals in the live stream. I think he did on Curtis Judd Audio earlier today, I think. But let's see. It used to be the first major player in the IEM market was the Ultimate Ears. And I remember the RRs, the Reference Remaster. I think the Reference Remastered. I think those are the ones that people were talking about a whole lot for a while. Here in Atlanta, one of the big ones is Empire Ear. Now, JK Audio has some really good premium ones too. There's a lot of companies that will make their own acoustic sound signature into an IEM. You can go to an audiologist, have them scan your ear, send that over, and get it custom fit for you. So it's kind of depending on what you're looking for in a particular sound. Some of them are flatter. Some of them, boom operators will sometimes say, I like to have the extra extended bass on the low end. That way I could hear handling noise. If you don't have issues with handling noise, you might not even be concerned with it. Or you might say, I'd just rather have something flat because I want to use it for other things too. There are some really good ones too. I can't remember the one that Ken Strain one that he liked, but it was like this long. It stuck out of your ears a lot. And it was one that I remember he talked about a couple of times that he really liked online. I don't remember which model it was, but you'll have people that like certain ones, certain versions. I tested and compared the Bumblebee Sidekick, which is not designed at all for using on set as IEMs. It's more like what you would give talent, but it sounded really good. And I ended up using that a couple of times when I needed IEMs before I got the Minas, because I also have some other sets of IEMs, but they never really sounded good at all. And the only reason I usually refer to IEMs or use IEMs at all is if I'm going to end up doing something with gunshots. I want to put on my earmuffs, the big, the earmuffs that are like this that will keep out the high SPL um, sounds from gunshots or whatever else. But then I will put IEMs in, so that way it still sounds good. It's good quality fidelity, and then I put the things on top of it. I did have an old set of headphones that you could plug in, kind of like this. You could plug in your a quarter inch, eighth inch to, or what is it, 3.5 millimeter, a 3.5 millimeter, eighth inch. You could plug that in and hear it directly. The problem was you just do this number, or even just if you took the slack off the cable, sometimes if you twisted the wrong way, you would yank it out and then it would be useless. And not only that, the way those speakers are built is it will let you hear the sound just fine until it hits a certain SPL level outside, which is usually like set to 85. And then all of a sudden it mutes everything. So if I'm listening to my headphones of the feed of the audio feed, and then all of a sudden a first AD says, "All right, picture's up, roll sound," it cuts off all of that. It mutes. So I can't even hear my boom anymore because people are yelling and gunshots and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's when I need it, is when it does all that. So I personally, Glenn True offered me at one point, I think the DT 770s, to send me a universal. He says, "I'd really like you to hear these and give me your thoughts on that too." I am interested in hearing them. I have not played with those. The only Minas that I've played with are the ones that are living with me on set, which is the M7506s, which is the 7506 acoustic signature, and I did use those on set. The biggest thing that I ran into with IEMs, and this is something in general that you'll run into, is usually they're pretty hot impedance-wise. And you barely turn up your level on your IFB before they start to distort. So if you wear headphones, you'll end up turning it up maybe to noon, or 1 o'clock or something like that. And if you put on IEMs, you're gonna have to turn it way down, because first of all, the volume is gonna be so much, it's gonna be blowing your ears apart. But then when you do that, sometimes the level is so mismatched to the actual headphones that you end up having to twist it a little bit. So what I ended up doing is putting a low impedance or a high impedance adapter on the Minas, but it sounded like crap. So I removed it and then just asked my mixer if he would adjust the level for me. And he did, and it sounds better. But personally, I still like headphones on set. So IEM wise, what do people use? It depends on what you like. Some people use the $100 or $200 or $300 sets that you can get even on Amazon, or the Shure ones I know are popular if you want universals. The Mina universals are starting to go around too. People really liking those too. If you're interested in something with that actually has a fitted ear mold, then you could either go Ultimate Ears, Empire Ears, JK Audio, Mina, something like that, and you're going to be happy just depending on what it is you actually want to hear. So hopefully that answers your question. When it comes to a profession, it is better. When it comes to profession, is it better to focus on what part of sound or expand? I love work field recording, but I also like all sorts of professions in sound, like sound designer. Okay. Usually if you're in sound, you can have various different interests. You can say, "Oh, I really like doing the post stuff. I like doing audio editing and ADR." You'll say, "Oh, I like doing remastering, and I also like doing Foley." You'll see people with crosses like that. I do, for example, I do the field, in the field, I will sometimes do ENG sound. I have not actually done an ENG show. I've not done bag mixing in probably 7 years. Yeah, something like that. I think the last reality show I worked on was Tabitha Takes Over, season 4, if memory serves. She came to Atlanta to do a couple of weeks, and that was 2013, 2012, something like that. It was whenever we were shooting the movie Papa, because I basically did Tabitha Takes Over to bridge a gap in my schedule, and then I did Papa, which is a South Korean movie that was shooting in Atlanta. It was a very interesting experience because a lot of the audio, the dialogue was in Korean and the sides were in English. So they would say the words, but then I wouldn't have any idea what it was that I was hearing. And so trying to find out when the word finishes so the next person would talk and how to cue those properly It was a very difficult thing to do, but it was one of those things that really taught me to listen to words so that way I could pick up on exactly, the mannerisms. Like this person looks like they're just about to say something here, and this person looks like they're finishing up a thought. And so I'm going to transition and now. And then the next time I would say, okay, well, at the end of this one word, when they said, il jiao or, il jiao, whatever the word was they were saying, when I hear that, that's my cue to transition to the other line. So even though with that, I did not have knowledge of the language, I started learning to read their body language, which was really cool. By the end of the show, it was a really cool skill to have. So, um, anyway, but yeah, there's really no problem in having different interests inside the sound department. Correct. You can publish 360 video how you want it to be viewed. Excellent. Does pointing a boom mic to your chest add more bass to the voice? And when pointing it to the nose, only pick up the highs? Thanks. No. You got to keep in mind the pattern of the microphone. If you're talking about a super cardioid, for example, there is the sweet spot where the detail is pointed out the front lobe of the microphone. If you point that and it's a more narrow pattern, it's going to be more focused in, which is one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of shotgun microphones inside of vocal booths, because usually what it does is it basically has a little narrow pickup pattern. And the whole idea behind a microphone is it picks up all directions based on the polar pattern. It's going to be focused more on some of those sounds rather than others, because the pattern, the natural pattern, the way it picks up. But when it picks up sounds coming down the front lobe, it's going to be an optimal detail. Now, if you happen to point the microphone directly at your mouth, for example, let's just say that I'm coming in from above like this. If we are coming in from above and you have a microphone that's pointed straight to my mouth, and then you cue it upwards toward the forehead, if you're still within the pattern of that microphone, it's still going to pick up the mouth. You're still going to pick up everything here, but you're going to start to cue off the chest a little bit. At that point, it's going to lose some of its some of the natural parts of the voice are going to be disappearing. They're going to go away because you hear voices more balanced between the lows, mids, and highs. When your vocal box, your vocal folds in your neck vibrate, it's only at a fixed vibration. It's not as high as the overtones and harmonics make it. But when the vibrations go down, then it's resonating in the chest cavity, and then you basically fill out your voice. When it goes vertical, it's going to be mixing in with the tongue and the teeth and your forehead, and you're resonating through your nose and your way your lips shape the sound. That's going to be cutting up those vibrations into smaller pieces. And by the time the harmonics and overtones come into play, you're going to be able to pick those out as words, kind of drawing an outline around each word, so to speak, by speaking it and using your lips to kind of shape those words. It's one of the reasons why speech is something that whenever you change languages or something like that, you have to learn how to properly say the words, because dialect-wise and frequency-wise, people can dial in and say, this is the way his voice sounds. If his voice is deeper, they can kind of say, okay, this is their vocal range. If their voice is higher, they can say, well, this is their vocal range. And within that, you're going to be able to hear certain frequencies, certain ways, because every single word you will inflect differently. It will be a high, emphasize certain words with higher pitch sounds, some with lower pitch. And it's one of the ways you're able to dial in on the S sounds, the sibilant sounds, if you're setting a de-esser, by the way, by dialing in on the syllable, the sound frequency that matches that particular S sound. But when it comes down to the balance of those frequencies that you want to be picking up from your microphone, if you point a microphone that has a wider pattern more towards your forehead, then it's going to be picking up pretty much the same amount evenly, but the detail is what you're going to be more pointing at. So if I have a microphone, for example, it may have a polar response that picks up all the way around to 135 degrees off axis, and then it starts to fall off on a rear lobe, and you point that straight to your mouth, you're going to be able to pick up everything in this whole area. But as soon as you start to go off axis, you go 120 degrees off axis, the polar pattern still says it's going to be an optimal frequency response world. But the thing is, the detail falls off. So you may be speaking into the microphone, but the detail is not going to be there. And it may pick up those frequencies, but it's not going to sound right to you. So you want to point that back. Now, if you start to point more at the chest, Are you pointing it at your chest and off of your head enough so the detail falls off? If so, it's going to sound more dispersed. It's going to sound more wide. It's going to sound almost like you're talking and the sound is getting muffled, and it's going to sound less detailed at that point, because as soon as you start to go off axis with the microphone, the detail falls away, even if it is still the same frequency range. So hopefully that answers it. Pointing the nose, you're going to pick up all of this area here is going to be an optimal detail. You point at the chest, you're going to be able to pick up the chest in greater detail, which doesn't really require a whole lot of detail, let the truth be known, because it's your chest. It's going to be one of those things where your chest is basically omnidirectional. Well, not fully omnidirectional. It's more omnidirectional. Lower frequencies are more omnidirectional. Higher frequencies are more directional. So when you get into the lower chest resonation frequencies, you don't need to hear as much detail there, because it's not really where the detail and the sibilance and stuff like that is really being shaped. So that's going to be the higher frequencies. We need more clipping tests of you yelling into microphones. Sure. My voice box loves those. I have a lot of companies offering cheap microphones to review. Feel your pain from the past. Now I am like you from the sound of it, buying everything. Well, I prefer not to buy everything. I really don't like buying everything. I don't like buying things in general, but yet I do. It's terrible. It really is terrible. Gear acquisition syndrome, gas is a real thing, and you don't need it, but you want it, and then you don't get rid of stuff. So, I mean, I'll open up a drawer and say, oh yeah, this was my first digital camera I bought back in 2000. Actually, that one, what happened to that camera? It was an Olympus something. I bought it much more expensive than I should have, because I could buy it the day before. The day New Year's Eve is when I think I bought that, because I decided, for whatever dumb reason, everybody was screaming Y2K, the world's coming to an end. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go down to Atlanta to watch the peach drop, which is kind of the equivalent of the ball drop at New York City, but on a small scale, in Atlanta, over Peachtree, over near Peachtree Street, over Underground Mall. But for whatever reason, I decided to spend $500 on that, and then I went down there and recorded a bunch of things, and the world didn't come to an end. But it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to be there and to have a digital camera, but I don't know what happened to that camera. It disappeared at some point. I don't think I sold it. Maybe I did. Maybe I gave it to someone. I don't remember what I did with it. But one of the things I'll sometimes do is I'll give away something to someone that really needs it. Because again, I don't like to have a whole lot of things. But I do. I have way too much. So anyway, Lone Gear is the worst. I agree. Horse Taco. For Rick on mic, if it helps, the video NTG works fine for USB, but mics like the VMic D4 has a lower self noise for cheaper when connecting to a camera. Yeah, that's the new version. DD did not send that to me, nor do they offer it. Otherwise, I would have turned them down, because I don't want to accept more video mics. VMic D4 also shuts off, but does not require AAA battery. Also auto shut off. So that's one of those things. It's hopefully when you plug it in, it automatically comes to life. Thanks, Alan. Absolutely. Hello. Sorry about my previous message. Fast fingers. Okay, no problem. No problem. Have you used the Audio-Technica AT4063B? No. Also, just purchased Hollywood C1 headsets. Have you heard much about them? Thanks. The Solidcom. I have a Solidcom system right there I need to review. It's literally right there in a case. It's the kind that has the base station. It's the base station with the 8 headsets. Yes, I'm familiar with them. I was out of town. No, I was down south. It was a 65-mile drive one way. So I took this stuff down there. I had a hotel room, and I basically set the thing up, and I recorded a bunch of B-roll stuff. I shot a couple of things, and the laptop was having all kinds of issues. So the camera was recording just fine, but the screen recorder kept shutting off, and I was trying to do real-time RF scans to see how clean it was. I need to look at the footage and see if it actually turned out well enough. And then the problem was also that I ran into with the stupid video was even though I hit the button that says record audio and I double checked it later, it didn't record audio. So all it is a screen capture of the screen, and then it keeps cutting. And I'm like, where in the world does this sync up with anything? So trying to synchronize it up in like a 13-minute long take or something, I'm probably gonna have to redo it and just might as well redo it here on this system or redo it on my Alienware laptop. But yes, the Solidcom C1 headset system, they are great for, I think, prosumer stuff. If you're using multi-headset, all you do is you drop down the microphone, talk into it, and mutes as soon as you go upward with it. The modulation was great. It was very clean, and nothing was intermoded. The RF was very clear. I like a lot of the ways that it's the way that it's organized. I don't like the fact that you had to actually add the stickers on the batteries yourself. That was something I had to do. Um, it does take MP batteries. It takes a couple of different kinds of batteries, or you can power it up with an AC adapter, which is what I ended up doing. It's I have not tested it on set where there's a lot of interference, but I will say that I don't anticipate it having too many issues because a lot of people use HMEs, which are very common on film sets, and those are in the same 1.9 gigahertz frequency spectrum. So it is something I'm aware of. It is something that I've been trying to get on shows, but the problem is they always talk to the DP who has their own HME system on rental to the show, and they don't want to borrow something because it means they don't get their rental. And if I try to bring it in for a second unit, they're going to say, "Oh, well, we have a HME system that we're going to rent, so we don't need your sound. This is for camera." I'm like, "Okay, fine." So I have not been able to get it yet on a show. I've tried loaning it to a couple of people, but the thing is, though, if I bring it out there and they have another system that is operating the same frequency range that does the exact same thing, I'm going to start competing with them. I'll get in trouble. I don't want to do that. So I have not been able to test it on set, but I'm still going to try at some point in time to bring it in and actually compare. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be something that would be usable on set just yet. I gotta really see. I gotta do some comparisons. The Rydal system is a really good system. The HMEs obviously are the main competitors, but then they're like over twice the price. So we'll really see how the system comes to play. But yes, I'm in the process of a review on that. If I can ever get to it. Bring up your videos. They are very helpful. Thanks so much, Alan. Absolutely. Not any recommendations for shotgun microphones to use outside other than MK600, which is poor outside, rejecting wind noise. I owned it. I sold it. Um, well, you're talking about getting a shotgun microphone for its ability to reject wind noise. That's more of a wind protection thing. Get yourself a better wind protection option. Get yourself a softie, a wind killer, a wind bubble, something like that. Sinella Pianissimo piano. If you're talking about the MK600, you're probably not going to have the budget for something like the Sinella, but you can easily get slide-on options that are very good. Make sure that that it's properly designed. Get some of the pro model stuff because those are going to be far better than anything else you get. Uh, like in the prosumer world, even though they'll reject the wind. The problem is they're not going to be as acoustically transparent, which means they're going to be picking up more of they might block out the wind, but they're also going to be muffling your audio more. So I'm not aware of any sleeper, any really good options that are inexpensive that rival the pro products. Sometimes, usually what we'll do is we'll hear something. This is actually a really good thing. Some manufacturer needs to jump on this. We don't normally hear about consumer products unless it's outstanding in its field, and it's like as soon as we start raving about it, they jack up the price because they're like, "Oh, you mean this is actually pro quality? Cool, we'll jack up the price then." But shotgun microphones, if you're looking for something that sounds good, that is able to reject wind noise, get yourself a good sounding microphone and get yourself some sort of pro windscreen. That's my opinion on that. My spare Audio Technica ATH M50X headphones just turned love these. Just turned love these. Yeah. Okay. So that's what these are. I really like having these in the studio. They block out sound really well, which is somewhat bad at times because, if I have these headphones on and I'm editing, I'm in the zone, not paying attention. I also have my Atom Audio A7Xs here, and I will usually turn on those and take off the headphones once I've set a leveled everything for my audio, and that way I can take the headphones off. But if I'm using edit, if I need to do detailed listening, I will listen with the ATH M50X headphones. I still really love them. I still use them every single day. I used them for the class I taught yesterday. I took them. I had a Zoom call today with my union hall. I was part of their union meeting, and I took the headphones and had them plugged in to my phone for the Zoom call, and I'm walking around Target with these headphones on and with my Zoom webcam on, looking at me because the IA now requires you to, if you're going to be in a union meeting, they require you to wear headphones unless you're in a private environment, and they require you to have a video on at all times if you're going to be part of a union meeting, so that way they can make sure that it is you by yourself, alone, and not and you are who you say you are. So that way they're recording what it is for posterity. So posterity. Um, so I really like them. Yeah. I see you're using the ATH M50X headphones. You said the MDR 7506. Why don't you use them now? Any other headphones you prefer? Okay. I use on set the 7506s because you can hear through them. And that's why I like them. These, you can't hear through these. So they are around the ear. They're great. They're not on ear. They're over ear. So I really like these inside of a studio where I don't need to hear the background noise. I can block out the outside sounds, which anytime the door knocks, half the time I won't hear it if I'm listening to something or doing something. And there was an occurrence that happened about a week and a half ago or something like that, where my wife was knocking on the door when I was recording an episode, and I didn't hear her. She then decided she really needed to tell me something, and she waited for me to have a gap in my presentation. So as soon as I heard a gap, she'd been knocking on the door, and I still didn't hear her. So she went ahead and opened the door, and I saw it in my peripheral vision and just about jumped out of my skin. It's a really funny video because because I actually was recording, and I actually like squealed out. It's a sound I don't think I've ever made, but it was like I don't know if I was in the middle of taking a breath or I was in the middle of breathing out or whatever it was, but it was like it wasn't a scream or anything like that. It was more of a just a gasp combined with some weird sound. I don't even know what it was. It was really funny though. Uh, but then so I need to not hear the outside world as much when I'm inside my studio. If I'm mixing, I want to block that stuff out. If I'm on set, I need to be able to hear the outside world because I need to address it. So that's the 7506s. That's the difference. Okay, I was worried that if you work a lot with field recordings, any project for of other jobs outside may get narrow. Sorry about the broken English. No, you're fine. If I work a lot in field recording projects, the availability of other jobs outside might get narrow. Well, here's the thing. You're going to be known for what you do. Once you, like, for example, me, people know me as a boom operator. If I suddenly started taking jobs as a sound utility, they'd be like, I thought you were a boom operator. If I started mixing, they're going to say, oh, are you mixing now? They're going to want to find out what it is that I'm focused on. Because usually when you do it as a day job, that's when you're going to be quickest. That's when you're going to be sharpest. That's when you're going to be up on those techniques and any of the newest things. Like I do post stuff for sound speeds, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be an expert on Isotope RX. Doesn't mean I'm going to be the best at Pro Tools. Doesn't mean I'm going to be whatever. So people that use that stuff every day for Pro Tools playback, they're going to know everything, keyboard shortcuts, and be able to go do and do everything. And I'm going to be like, wait a minute, how do I do this in the menu? I'm going to go down here, click this, go down here. Where is it in preferences? And they would have hit, 3 keyboard shortcuts and done everything I've been trying to do for 5 minutes. So, but no, you're going to be known for what you're known for and what you do. So if you want to be known as a jack of all trades, people won't necessarily always think of you for a particular job. There's people that will say, I'm a boom operator or a sound utility. And unfortunately, that means that whenever I'm saying, who's going to be covering for me? Who are the boom operators I know? And I go down the list of people that are just basically boom operators. Or if I say, who do I know that's a utility? I start going down the list. And I usually forget the hybrids. I'll forget the people that can do multiple jobs. And the reason why isn't because it's vindictive or me trying to keep somebody from something. But the reason why is because basically I won't think about them. God's honest truth. I just will not think about them because they are a hybrid, because they say that they do multiple jobs. Gotcha. Got to drop. Great hanging out. Have a great night. Yep, no worries. You need to tell her to send you another mic to review. How it puts up good barbecue. You know what? I actually have someone who is going to be receiving a microphone tomorrow because he is going to record the annual Yule log that's going to be part of the Epic live stream. If you watched the Epic live stream last year, when I started posting the video about the Yule log, he was like, "Hey, you know what? I'll help you if you want." I said, "Sure, reach out to me. Let me know." He reached out, sent me an email. I read it the next day and it says, "Yeah, sure. Let me know closer to time or something like that, and we'll talk about it." Sure as the world, he sent me an email about halfway through November and said, "Hey, I mentioned last year that I would participate and help with the Yule log, if you would like that." And so I was like, you know what? I'm kind of particular about the way I do things, but you know what? I'm going to at least put it out there because I said I would. And I said, this is what I need and how I need it. And he says, not going to be a problem. And I was like, hmm, you know what? It might be good for me to not have to micromanage everything. So I said, you know what? I fully trust him. He's been a loyal member of the, uh, he's been a subscriber for a long time. He's been part of my live streams. He's been part of, and commented. He's participated. He's written me messages in the past. He's bought my cables that I've made, which I still have some SoundSpeed XLR cables, by the way. Nobody has bought them all up yet. There's, I think, a couple of 10-footers and 3 8-footers if memory serves. So if you have been thinking about them, they're available now. Still haven't sold those. But he's bought different things and he's participated and that kind of thing. I'm like, you know what? Plus, I happen to know on his channel, he actually has a YouTube channel and he does weekly live streams. I know he knows the gear. I know he knows what he's doing. He sounds good when he does his stuff. He looks good when he does his stuff. I'm like, you know what? I can trust this guy. So I sent him the microphone. And so we are going to yet again do a barbecue of a microphone. I'm not going to reveal which one. As you know, last year it was the Blue Yeti. I don't get along with the Blue Yeti. It's still right up there. It is literally still right up there. When I tried taking it off of the fire pit last year, I then said, you know what? This has, it was constantly dropping little pieces everywhere. So I said, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside. I'm going to soak it in water. I'm going to constantly just flush it out. I'm going to soak it in water, drain it, soak it in water, drain it, and then just let it dry. I did that and it continued to drop little pieces all over the place. So I put it inside of a box up there. If I could find someone, so wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if anybody who's watching this stream or watching this after the fact, if anyone out there happens to know of a way to float something like that in epoxy and you happen to have an air, what is it? A pressure, not a pressure cooker, a pressure, what is it? It sucks out all the air, a pressure, a chamber, whatever it's called, whatever the thing's called. I forgot what it is. But if it's, if you can get a hold of one of those things and you have the ability to use epoxy resin, I have the epoxy resin I could send you. I don't know if it's enough, but I would love to actually have that Blue Yeti preserved inside of a block. So if anyone happens to be an expert on that kind of thing and knows how to do it, and you want to take that on, by all means, reach out to me, send me an email address at alan@soundspeeds.us, and I would love to actually send you the Blue Yeti and let you encase that thing in epoxy resin. So that way it'll be clear and I'll see it forever. I don't need to have it work ever again. It's never going to, as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't need to be cleaned up. It just needs to be put in resin. And that way it's not going to be dropping little particles all over the place. So it's still in that little plastic container, literally right up there. If one wanted to hook a recorder directly up to the boom pole, do you have any recommended recorders? Whew. Does the Zoom F1 supply phantom power? My first instinct is to say BPT, no, I'm sorry, DDHDTX, because it can be used as a transmitter or a recorder or a transmitter recorder. It has phantom power on it, and if you plugged it directly up to your to a boom pole, you could record directly on it. If you want to go higher cost, you can go something like a Sound Devices A20. You can do the same thing. But if you're talking about trying to stay on a budget, the Zoom F, not H. H is the handy series. I don't recommend using those. The F series are much better. Use the F1, maybe the F. Is there an F2? I think it's the F3. It's the 2-channel version. I don't understand why the 6-channel F is the F6, the 8-channel F is the F8, the 4-channel F is the F4, and then they do the F3, which is 2 channels. I don't understand it. Zoom is weird, I guess, but they might also have a F2 already, and this was the next product, so they might have said, well, you know what, we're going to call it the F3. I don't know. But I think it's relatively inexpensive. That would be another option too. So DDHDTX, I've used it. The noise floor is a slightly higher than what you might want it to be if you're in a quiet environment. If you're doing field recording, shouldn't be an issue. Aside from that, try the F series Zoom F1 if it does phantom power. F3 is another option that has 2 channels. Those are the ones I'd usually gravitate toward if on a budget. If not, then you could definitely get something like the A20. You can get yourself, what is it? I don't think the Spider, the SPDR Electrosonics, it's like 650, 700 bucks, something like that. I don't think it has phantom power. There was another recorder that supplies phantom power, and I don't remember what it is. If I remember, I'll say it. Anyway. How many microphones would be okay for multiple locations? Like outdoors, hardwood floor, carpeting? Usually one, you can get some microphones that are, depends. I mean, the thing is, I know people that use the Sony, the Sennheiser MKH 50 indoors and outdoors. Quite a few mixers do. It's got a good combination of sounding good indoors and not picking up a whole lot of reflections, and outdoors it has enough rejection to still sound natural while rejecting out enough of the outside world. I also know people that use the Shure CMIT 5U both indoors and outdoors, and that's a short shotgun. You've seen other content creators recently talking about those. Those are a couple of options that you have. If you were to try to be on a budget, or you want to have one microphone for indoor and one microphone optimized for outdoor, then in that circumstance, I'd say stick to more of a pencil condenser for indoors. That's usually a supercardioid type pattern microphone. And then for outdoor stuff, pick a short shotgun microphone. So if you're on a budget, I'd say maybe the DED S Mic 2 for outdoors. That's usually a pretty popular one. It's along the heavy side. RF rejection is great. It's solid as a rock when it comes down to resistance of water. It's a good one. It's a good choice. Indoors, a lot of people will, what is it? The Rode M5. I know some people like. What is it? The Samson CO2 pair for like 110 bucks. That's something people will use on a budget. You at least have a matching pair that way. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. I don't remember a whole lot of them. I'm not great on the more discount versions. I can tell you the pro stuff all day long. And so if you want to spend over $1,000 up to like 3 or 4, let me know. I can tell you about those recommendations, but I don't know a whole lot about the more discount line. I'd almost say look for something that has a pretty decent reputation for a certain price point, and then do research from there and see what you think. Yes, I'm taking a Zip Fizz. And yes, I'm adding, what is this flavor? Pink lemonade. I grabbed 2 of them because it was the same exact color. And I had my Zip Fizz tumbler here. which I don't. Oh, I thought I heard it in the microphone. So, what are your thoughts on Zaxcom? Oh, let me tell you, they have an entire ecosystem, and it is wonderful. If you like ZaxNet, if you want to buy into the entire world, it is solid. Some people say that the range is a little bit lacking on your in your radio. Here's the thing, though. It's going to all depend. You can change your frequencies on the fly using from ZaxNet. That's one of the advantages you have. Zaxcom has all the patents on being able to remote change frequencies. I know other companies are starting to get into that, like the I know Deity licensed them on their Connect system. What is it? The Shure system you can adjust on the fly using Bluetooth. I know that you can do the same thing with the new sound devices A20. There's one other system. What is that system that you can also adjust on the fly? That I was trying to remember it. Because I was just talking to them about this like a couple of weeks ago. Because I was asking them, anyway, I can't remember. But my thoughts on Zaxcom, you can adjust things on the fly. It has never clip on every device pretty much. The ZMT 4.5, holy crap. It is a small little transmitter. It is a tiny little transmitter. I used it for my class yesterday. And I actually did a really cool thing. I measured it compared to a cable that you would run up a boom. And when you put it out on the end of a boom pole that was a certain length, it weighed lighter than the cable. So that was something I thought was really fascinating. So it's lighter than a cable, and it's right up there next to the microphone. So I would say if you're looking for a microphone with a transmitter with phantom power that's complete digital, the Zaxcom ZMT is a solid option. There's others that are on the market too, but they don't fold into the Zaxcom world. The Nova I love because it is it is basically a recorder at 6.5 pounds, little tiny thing, field recording. You can hit record, complete ZaxNet. You can transmit out, to your comms, you can record everything ISO, you can record and change your audio level on the fly. It has never clipped. It's just a solid system. But the thing is, in order to take full advantage of everything, you have to spend a lot of money to buy into that system. A lot of people who do, they love it. People that can't afford it and they end up saying, I'm going to go with the recorder. I'm going to get different transmitters. You're going to be missing out on a lot of features. So you have to invest in it. Also, one of the things I've heard people say, so it's hearsay, is that if something ever happens to the main engineer behind Zaxcom and Glenn Sanders, then there may be an issue with the company with regards to its stability going forward. I don't know this I mean, obviously this is not a fact. It's all hearsay. Companies like Electrosonics and, Shure and other things, they have teams of engineers. So if something were to happen to one of them, they would still be able to move forward. I'm not 100% sure. I've heard people say that. And it's not just one person that said it. It's been multiple people that have told me if something happens to the leading engineer, I don't even know his name, or to Glenn, there could be a problem with the company going forward. I would like to think that they're more structurally sound than that. And they would be fully prepared in the event that something like that were to happen. But I know that it would be a tragic loss if we lost really anybody in the sound community, especially Glenn. I tell you, he is extremely intelligent. I don't know him that well. I've seen him when he comes to a lot of events. I talked to him a little bit. Being that I'm not a mixer, I don't think that I haven't had a lot of conversations with him because I think he's focused on more talking to mixers and people that would buy his products as opposed to people like me that would just say, "Oh, this is really cool." I did tell him a couple of weeks ago when he was here in Atlanta that I use the ZMT 4.5 on the end of a boom pole when I was day playing and filling in with a sound mixer, and that thing is a work of art. I love it. It is light. It's very powerful. It's small. It records, never clip, provides phantom power, all in this little bitty thing that's like, what is it, 45 grams or something? Little tiny thing. It's amazing. It's completely awesome. And I hope that other manufacturers can start to duplicate that kind of thing, because that's what we all need. A lot of boom operators just like, give me a ZMT, give me a ZMT, give me a ZMT, because it is that good. And Zaxcom is great at innovation. They also patent things, which a lot of people will argue keeps back the world from moving forward, because, you know, if they didn't have everything patented that they have patented, all the other companies out there would be able to take a lot of that tech and move it forward. But then, you know, hey, you know, if you innovate, if you have a patent on something, you have the right to get money for it. Like when they license it to Deity, you have that right. That's one of the legal reasons that you actually get patents, is because you want to be able to make money off of it. And if you have ideas, you know, by all means. So, Zaxcom though is they make solid products, and the way that it all works into their ecosystem, solid as a rock. And so, I mean, the ability to go to the recorder and say, man, this hard drive's having an issue, and you quite literally go choo-choom, choo-choom, and you replace a hard drive and you're up and going again. That's awesome. That ended up saving us on a show I did a few years ago, that we ended up having, you know, the Zaxcom hard drive ended up, I think it filled up too much and corrupted or something like that, or had an issue. It took a hit or something like that, because we were moving all over the place, and we ended up having an issue, and we ended up literally going and putting in another hard drive, and it worked. It didn't like, okay, we got to take the machine out of the thing, and we have to do this, and we have to do this, and take this, and how do we disconnect the hard? It wasn't any of that. You'd have to do that with any other manufacturer. Zaxcom, it was easy, solid. So there you go. In terms of tone frequency, what are the differences between the the M50X and the 7506s? Do these differences give you issues in post? Not really. You want to try to find headphones that you like if you mix with headphones. Most of the big post guys, they mix with regular speakers, with monitors rather, not regular speakers. But if you do mix with headphones, pick one and go with it, because you're going to start to do all your mixes with them. And if you start changing out headphones constantly, you're going to end up making this mix for this headphone, this mix for this headphone. You're going to be going back and saying, nah, it sounds different. It sounds weird or whatever. If you are talking about on set M50X headphones, again, you can't hear them through them as much as you can the 7506s. And the 7506s are brighter, so they do magnify more of the higher pitch sounds. It's the best way that I remember hearing it, is that they're magnifiers. They allow you to hear higher pitch sounds. I can't remember who it was that called them magnifiers, but it was a great way to word it, a great analogy. Because when you boost the highs like that and something is brighter, you definitely hear it more. So it was a great way to word it. Yeah, so pressure pot, vacuum pot. That's not the words that I see them listed as online. Vacuum chamber, is it? All right, fine. Where is it? There's all these different guys. Let me see. I'm gonna go to YouTube. Do a search for it. In a vacuum chamber. Ice in a vacuum chamber. Fire in a vacuum chamber. Gun in a vacuum chamber. I'm in a live stream. I can't look at that. Oh, that looks interesting though. Okay, I'm gonna leave this up. I'm gonna go to that and go down that rabbit hole as soon as this live stream is over. Where do you find your SoundSpeed's XLR cables? They don't appear in your SoundSpeed store. No, they don't. I hand make those. Not biased. That is. I did. When was it? during the shutdown of 2020, when I wasn't working, I remember saying, you know what, it would probably help some people. I think it was Kevin Basic Filmmaker was having an issue with some issue. He was having some issue with his audio, and I remember hearing the issue and saying, your cable's crap, and you need a different XLR cable. He was using Amazon Basics, and at that point, he was like, well, what does the cable matter? It's a pro microphone. I'm like, okay. And I said, I'm going to make you a cable. I'm going to send it to you. I had already done that for Mike Delgadio. Pretty much every cable that you ever hear from him in his studio, it's one of the 10 I made him because he was having an issue with his sound in, I think, early 2018. And so I made him a bunch of cables. Then during the shutdown in 2020, I said, you know what? It would be a way for me to make some money, put my expertise in cable making, and put it out there and see if anybody wants to buy them, to make their systems sound better, because these things are solid as a rock. They're RF actually, I have some videos about them not long ago where I do put it literally over and in a bunch of really high EMI and RFI emitting equipment, and they're dead quiet. So, and they're solid as a rock as far as I'm concerned. I've spent years tweaking them and making them a certain way. And I don't normally make them and sell them because I don't have the time. But I did, I think, during 2020, and then there was more of an interest. I can't remember where it was. It was the Epic live stream last year. It was mentioned as we had this segment that was about the cables, and I think it was Curtis Judd, Bandrew Scott, Mike Delgadio, a few other people that had bought them said, "Oh yeah, these cables are solid." And I think it was Ray, I almost said Ray Liotta, Ray Ortega. He said, "Well, where can I get them?" And I think it was a couple months later, I'd still been receiving messages about him because somebody did a live stream and mentioned him at one point. Might have been Curtis. And I got even more questions about him. So I said, all right, you know what? I said, my wife is going to be going out of town for Memorial Day weekend. I tried to see if I could go visit a couple of friends. It didn't work out. So I said, if they're going out of town for the weekend, I'm going to stay in for the entire Memorial Day weekend and watch movies and TV shows. And I might as well set up a cable making factory. And so for like 3 days solid, I'd taken orders to make cables, and I went into machine cable making mode. So this last Memorial Day, as soon as my family left, I did what I do and decided I was not going to eat anything healthy at all. So I think I bought like a bunch of the gold, the bold ginger ale. The what is it? It's bold, so it's like the stronger version of the ginger ale. The not Schweppes or Schweppes, Sweeps, whatever it is. Canada Dry, maybe the bold. And I bought a bunch of tonic water. And then I bought like some of the big, huge things of butternut fiddle faddle and some Cheez-Its and just a bunch of just complete crap. And I eat that stuff with chopsticks so it doesn't get all over your hands. And I wear gloves anyway. And then I just went into cable making mode. And so I literally went out and bought that stuff. And I said, I'm not going to leave the house for like 3 days. So I had bought all the stuff in advance. I cut everything to proper length with my daughter before. I had all everything organized. So as soon as they left, I basically set up a table in the other room and I just went into cable making mode. Since we were talking about pictures earlier, when was Memorial Day? Alexa, when was Memorial Day 2022? Monday, May 30th. Okay. So what I'm going to do is see if I can find that picture real quick. I took a couple of pictures that weekend. I'll show you the cable making world that I'd set up. So Memorial Day was May. There we go. We're getting into it. Oh, can't show those pictures because those are on a TV show that I signed an NDA on. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. Man, I take a lot of pictures. Okay. So all right. This is one of the pictures. This is right before I started. That was all the cables I had laid out there on the table. This is my dining room table. Yes, it's wooden. It looks like a picnic bench, but it was made by a pro. And this is me putting, this is after I had put all of my serial numbers on them. So a whole bunch of them there on the sofa. I made a few of the XLR, the dummy XLRs. So that was me metering them to test them to make sure they were within, they were usually ranged around 150.4. They were all 150 ohm resistors, but you're going to get a little bit more, as it goes through all the different, the devices itself. I ended up really rubbing my hands completely raw. They were swollen after I had made cables for 3 days. But, I took a few pictures during the process. That's the Viper gloves I'm wearing and soldering station set up there. You can see, all right, this is combos. Oh, I happen to see one of my friends. So I took a picture of the frame there. That's one of my friends up on the screen right there. And you can see down here in the lower corner an entire bowl full of combos. Which, if you know combos, you know that they're what is it, pretzel and cheese on the inside. And this was part of the soldering station. This is my entire thing with chopsticks and cheese that's in there. So yeah, not even a bit healthy. And then this is when I finally finished, had all the cables basically laid out there at the end. Not all of them, I think. I think I had some of them. Come on now, focus. I think I had some of them on the table there and some of them on the table in the other room. And my hands were raw. You can see the discoloring of this one finger and the blister that I had here. You can't see, you can also see the blisters on there too. So this is from making all those cables. My hand, oh, and then my other hand, you could see the blisters all through here and especially there. And they were all through there. So this is one of the reasons I also don't make cables, because it punishes my hands and it takes forever. But I do test every single one of them continuity wise. This one here was one that ended up having a short in it. So you can see that I ended up having to completely redo because it lit the whole thing. Oh no. Oh yeah, that is one of the ones I made. But that was completely lit up the wrong way. No. That was one I didn't make. I was correcting. I was fixing that one for somebody. That was the way it metered. He's like, "Why is this cable acting up?" And I was like, "Oh, let me look at it." I looked at it and said, "Oh, well, that's the reason why." So where is it? Oh, yeah. Then, of course, I had to have my pizza. So I think I did break down and I bought, a couple of pizzas. So pizza and cheese bread. Either that or my wife sent that to me. Where is, that might be it. That might be it. And then made a couple of shorties. Okay. This will also show you how when my wife is out of town, I'm I'm full bachelor mode, basically. This is the kind of sandwich I make. That's pepperoni and 3 alarm cheese. And when I make a sandwich, that's the way it looks. This is the sandwich I make. Wife goes out of town and had like I think 40 pieces of pepperoni on there, pepperoni sandwich pepperoni. I just went crazy. So there you go. Oh, we were talking earlier about the Solidcom system. This is when they first sent it to me. I took a picture of it to show what it looked like. So you asked about the Solidcom system. That's the one that you're going to see me review at some point in time. Anyway, okay, so enough behind the scenes, whatever. Good times. Man, why are you responding to me? Please. YouTube notifies and will. Okay. It's like I'm live. Ask me questions now. Don't send me messages. Responding to my videos. Ask me live. Okay. Zoom F3 boom pull. All right. It has 48 volt fan power. It straps onto a boom pole. It can be powered off with battery USB pack, 32-bit floating port. Output has 2 inputs, yeah. There you go. That was liberated by the F3, yeah. Oh, and it has interference to PC also. Thanks, yeah. So that was it. To be honest, I love some recommendations along a wide price range. Feel free to tell me about some pro microphones. Okay. If you want to talk about pro microphones for $1,000, MKH 416, that's a pretty much standard. That's the one that people always say, have one in your kit if you're a professional. But if you want to get into it, spend, what is it? $2,200, get yourself a Shep CMIT 5U. You can do that. You can get yourself a mini CMIT, I think, for what? $2,000, something like that now. Those are a couple of good options. I personally love the Senken CS3E, which you can find brand new for around $1,400. The Senken also makes the CSR2, which it has 3 capsules if memory serves. It's very directional, but it also has a little switch on there where you can cancel out the rear lobe. It digitally removes the rear lobe, so that way it's only a front lobe and it rejects out everything else. So that's really cool. And let's see, some other microphones that are really good. I love the DPA 4017B. That's about an $1,800 microphone. I know some people say that the Rode NTG3 for about $800 is another microphone that's usually pretty much like the 416, but it doesn't have that Sennheiser MKH sound, but it sounds very similar. It also has a different sound to it, so that you might like that as well for about $800. If you like the more detailed sound, a little bit flatter, the Rycote HC22 is another good option you can get. Let's see. Those are just from shotgun microphones that you could use outdoors. Oh, the 8000 series from Sennheiser, the modular versions of the same microphone. So you can get the 8060, the Sennheiser MKH 8060. That's a great one. You can get that. You can get those might be some good options there. Let's talk about the pencil condensers now. If you want to talk about pro options, looking at something like the Shep CMC 641. That has been around for decades. It is very much an industry standard, a little bit temperamental when it comes down to moisture, but it works great. It's a pencil condenser. You can get a swivel on it, so it'll actually be low profile mode and bend. It also is modular, so you can connect up something called a CMR, which allows you to use it with just the capsule on the end of a cable, and you can hide it very easily in like something like a visor on a car. Sounds great. Shep's also, you can switch out the capsules. They have a side address capsule. It's like one of 2 companies that makes a side address capsule on a pencil condenser. That is a good quality. Let's see. Obviously, Sennheiser MKH 50, 40. Those are the 50 is a super cardioid. The 40 is a cardioid. Those are a couple of good options. And of course, the 8050, which doesn't have nearly as much bass response or reach, but it does do great in echo in places with higher reach of echo. It actually sounds better in my opinion. It's a crisper sounding microphone. Doesn't have that overextended bass. Then there's also the DPAs again. 4018, the biggest issue you'll run into with a 4018 capsule, 4018B, 4018AC, whatever. Biggest issue run into that was reach. It's a great sounding microphone. If you get it too far away, it starts to fall off kind of quickly. Because it's a flatter microphone, it doesn't do you any favors. It's unforgiving when it comes down to, it will pick up detailed sound. That's what it does. And most of the time people will hear a sound and they're like, well, it's getting farther away. It doesn't have much reach. It's still picking it up the same as any other microphone. It just doesn't embellish the low end like many microphones do, nor does it embellish the highs. It's very flat all the way across. So those are a couple of pro options with regards to pencil condensers as well. There you go. Used your SoundSpeed's XLR cable in your preamp test video. That's where I heard about them. That's correct. So I did use those. There was another video. Hold on a second. All right, let me go hunt. I will find it. And SoundSpeeds. I will find it. There is the SoundSpeed YouTube channel. And it says, oh, what do you know? He's live right now. Maybe we should watch it together. That should be interesting. Isn't that like a weird picture for a thumbnail for this video too, by the way? It's really weird. Okay. Um, few videos back, I tested the SoundSpeeds cable. Okay. This is it. This was actually part of a bigger, longer video. So that was part of a longer video, but then I cut it back when I stopped selling the cables. And basically, they're still there. You can still get the cables. Hello, Heather, and hello, Dieselton. You can still get the cables, you just have to email me. So email me to alan@soundspeeds.us. I can't remember what they go f what I'm selling them for. I gotta look back. But I mean, hey, I'd love to get these things out before 2022 is over. So, they're quite literally over there in a bag. And so I could tell you exactly if you wanna know, put it down here in the comments below, and I'll go over there and grab them, and I'll tell you what I actually have. And I can also look up the price. I think domestically, I think they were I did a community post about it. All right, let me go look because it was I can't remember what it was. Okay, here it is. Okay, I'm selling the 10 footers for $80, 6 footers for I'm sorry, the 8 footers for $75. That includes all fees if you do if you need to buy or whatever else through PayPal. That includes the fees and that includes free shipping. So if you were to buy multiples, and I can combine the shipping, what I would usually do is I'll cut off $10. No, that's wrong. It's not 10, it's 5. So it's $5 off additional. So you buy one 10-footer, it's $80. If you add on a second 10-footer, then it would be $5 off because what happens is over the course of time, I can get a certain amount in there and then the back boxes have to get bigger and that's shipping. But that's priority mail and that's in the United States. If you're international, the price would change. So if you want one 8-footer, it would be $75. If you want one 10-footer, it would be $80 and that's includes shipping. Now that means that you would say, well, how does it compare to something like a Mogami? Well, you can tell me, would you like to get a solid cable from Mogami and stuff like that? By all means, you can. Or it could be handmade by me, which obviously would carry with it, uh, only what the warranty that I could basically say, obviously don't torture the thing. If you run it over with your car and you spin a wheel over it or something like that, then obviously it's not going to last. And Mogami may swallow that up really easily, but I'm going to look at it and say, what did you do to this thing? It is solid as a rock if you want to, if you yank on it or whatever else, it's not gonna run issues. The only thing I say about my cables is you can take them apart if you really want to. But there are some things that I've learned over the years that if you do to a cable to secure it and make it when it closes up properly, it's going to be even better for grounding, better for RF shielding, better for strain relief. And if you open it up, some of that will probably you're not going to know what it is, and you're not going to be able to get it back together. And it may end up even shorting if you put it together the wrong way because the connectors I use can be temperamental and you got to do them the right way. And if you don't have the right technique to it, I've taught people how to do it before. And then they don't, I'm like, no, you missed this one step. And they're like, oh, that's why it was shorting. That's why it was shorting. Um, I'm going to do a video at some point and talk about it and show the technique that I have. But the thing that makes it kind of interesting is it was very difficult for me to actually record because I did go microscopically. Well, not microscopically. I went very, very small. I took a magnifying, camera very close to see how the solders are. But whenever you magnify something, it looks really bad. So it looks like everything looks really, different when you magnify it. And as soon as I did that, and by the time I lit it and stuff, I'm like, if I come in from any angle, I'm basically blocking the camera. So it's like, how can I solder this thing? So I look so clumsy when I'm doing it and being magnified like that was crazy. But anyway, send me an email at alan@soundspeeds.us if you have any interest. That video that I just got through posting down there does go through the RF testing. And so you can see exactly what it is. Cheap directional shotgun and shotgun for like a YouTuber on a budget. Okay. Um, Okay, that's when you would probably go DDS Mic 2. That's 350 bucks. If you wanna go cheaper than that, what was the AT650? What was the thing I impulse bought? Hold on a second. Whatever it was, it ended up sounding good. Hold on a second. AT. Oh, that's a bad thing to search for because my Amazon history is gonna come up and it's gonna be like, "Oh, yeah, you bought, like, 6,000 things with, microphone." I'll do a search for that. There's a lot of those too. Oh, okay, here it is. The Audio-Technica AT875R. So that was the one I impulse bought on the stream. How much did I buy that thing for? Okay, so it was around 175. I think I bought it for 142 because I bought one that was in great condition. It was like new condition, but it was like $25 off because it was already opened or something like that, and it ended up being flawless. So there's that one. That actually sounded really good. That would be one that's only 175 bucks. So Audio-Technica AT875R, that was a good one. So YouTuber on a budget, that would probably do you. If you're trying to find something that's a video mic for a camera, the NTG, a Rode Video Mic NTG is a really solid option. They might have better ones now. I haven't looked. I don't keep up with that market really, the on-camera microphones. I do know that the VMic D3 Pro is what people are talking about now. It's an improvement on the VMic D3, which I thought was great. So there you go. Indoors, pencil condensers, if you're talking about on a budget. Samson CO2, I think people talk about and they like. Those are matched pairs. I think Aventone makes no, that's a cardioid. Never mind. What is it? The Rode M5 is a pair for like 200 bucks. Drawing a blank on discount. Again, I haven't jumped into a whole lot of the prosumer or the consumer market. Mainly, I focus on pro stuff. So sorry, I can't just name off the more discount stuff. Nor do I own them. I only really feel comfortable recommending something if I've tested it and I know the quality of it. There are probably many other people that would say, "Well, I've tested this and reviewed this and whatever." I try to avoid reviews, if you recall, and I try not to buy gear, even though I fail at that miserably. So there you go. So yeah, I think I got through all those questions finally. Wow, look at that. And it is 12:13 a.m. Uh, so if you have any other questions, then by all means. If not, I have a later call time tomorrow. I think it's like 1:30. I should probably look and see what my call time is because whatever my call time is, I'll be there on set and I'll be more than happy to stay on. If we finish this live stream, I'll go ahead and do something else. I will watch a movie or something. No one is commenting. No one has anything to say. All right, fine. Maybe we've answered everything and we're through with everything here. Okay, let's see. Quick, someone ask a question, more knowledge. Yeah, well, that's fine. You know what? We don't need to just stream for the sake of streaming and last all day and all night. Granted, I did just put 2 zip fizz completely in this thing, so there you go. But hey, I'm gonna recap now in case you missed it. The Epic live stream, which is gonna involve a lot of content creators, it's gonna involve special guests, it's gonna be a big fundraiser event, is going to take place on Friday, December 30th, 2022, starting at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that is when the stream starts. I have committed to a minimum of 12 hours. So we will be here for at least 12 hours. But in order for me to continue past that, I need to have $100 in donations to charity, the charity that we pick, per hour to continue. Because I'm not just going to stream until the point where I can barely open my eyes and I'm just like, dead. Just for the sake of being on a stream. So since it is a charity live stream, you got to make donations to the charity to keep this thing going, to keep it going past 12 hours. So, and otherwise I will continue to go. So there you have it. And I think I remember saying originally that I was going to try to find a charity that was more dedicated to children. I vetted a few of them. A few of them I wasn't 100% sure I really liked because they seem to be kind of wasteful. And sure, they help people. A lot of charities usually do help people. But if they're too wasteful or they have too many administrative fees, I'm usually like, okay, we can find someone better. I did get it down to 2 charities. I contacted them both. I spoke to people at both charities, and they referred me to someone who I either emailed, spoke to on the phone, whatever. And then for whatever crazy reason, even though I told them, you don't have to do anything, I will set this stream up and you will benefit. You will have the focus of the money directly to you, not from me. I won't touch it for the Epic live stream. And then they ghosted me. 2 companies. I checked my spam folder. They didn't. And when I say charity companies, I don't mean that. I mean they're 50c3, nonprofit organizations with 100 ratings on Charity Navigator. And for whatever reason, they ghosted me. So I've been trying to reach them for over a week. Finally, I threw my hands up in the air and said, you know what? If you don't want to be part of the Epic live stream, that's fine. I'll find someone else. My wife is very happy with this one charity. I said, oh, let me see what I can find research-wise. I want something that's very transparent, one that's very open regarding what they're trying to do and their focus, one that actually legitimately helps people, that doesn't just want, oh, give us your money and we'll help others. They have other ways of volunteering and stuff like that. And so I'm going to reach out to them this week. The show I'm working on wraps on Tuesday, and on Wednesday I'm going to be working on stuff for the Epic live stream. And if I can, I want to try to dial in on the charity that I want, and I think I have a good one. I just have to do a little research. My wife says that as soon as if you reach out to them, they will answer. They will respond back to you. They will send you. They're quick to get back to you if you contact them. So if they seem pretty promising, one thing I did the first year is I had a guest from the charity that we backed on to tell us what they're doing and all the stuff that was basically how their charity was affected by the shutdown in 2020, and that gave us. And when I brought him on, it's got a lot of interest in the charity donations at that point, and it was really cool. We got a chance to hear firsthand what they were actually doing and how they were doing it and how they were benefiting and helping people. And the following year, I did that was the Children's Hospital Fund, I believe, or Foundation, maybe Children's Hospital Foundation, and I think they were in Oklahoma. Last year, we did the Disabled American Veterans, the DAV. Thing is, though, that's a big company. That's a big charity. And when I reached out to them, I called them, I emailed them multiple times. Never once did they get back to me. But the first charity that I contacted, they still looked like their website was operational. They still said, please email us, please call us. I called them. They never responded. I emailed them. They never responded. Finally did a little bit of research, a little deeper, and found a few articles online that said, oh yeah, their executive director left during the shutdown of 2020. And then they said, and then I found another article that said, oh, there was another executive that left. And I'm like, well, geez, do they have anybody functioning anymore over there? They didn't respond to my messages once. They didn't respond to any of my text messages, or not text, any of my emails and calls. So I said at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to find a different charity. DAV, great charity. I'm really happy to have supported them, but I really would have liked if somebody could have responded to me and given me more more information via email, even though I know their website is perfectly great. So this year, what I'm trying to do is, once again, kind of like the first year, see if I find someone from the charity that can come on and tell us a little bit about the charity and what is the most current live information. That is what I'd like. So I think I found that it is a veteran-based charity. Again, it is not to do with illness, disease, or anything like that this year. It would be another veteran one if it works out. I got to vet them now. So anyway, that's the latest information. Do you ever use a Sennheiser E614 pencil mic? No, I know nothing about it. 30th is my birthday. Well, awesome. I always remember the children that are born at the very end of the year. They're quite often. I think I heard years ago that the number one day for induction of just to start the process of pregnancy is December 31st, because they want to get if the child is born on the 31st, then that's the day that they're going to be hopefully born, and that means that you get credit for the entire year having the child uh, on your taxes. And if they're born on the 1st, then you will have the child the entire year but not get the tax credit for it. So a lot of people will say, quick, induce the baby, so that way the baby's born early, that way the baby's born on the 31st. So 30th year birthday, Liberty Dude. We will make sure that we have the epic live stream on your birthday. So if you have nothing else going on, you can at least join in the fun, and we will definitely. I'll hope I remember to say happy birthday to you there. My birthday was about a week and a half ago, something like that. So we're both December babies. Anyway, what is that? Diesel 10. What is that? Is that almost looks like a pizza with something off of it. Pizza slice. No, that's weird. I don't know what that is. Have a wonderful night, Alan. I have to get to work in about 7 hours. Yeah. So I have a PM call time tomorrow. I think it's like 1:30 PM. I need to look at that. Does YouTube have an approved kids charity already in their system? I'm sure they do. But here's the thing. I really liked having a smaller charity that I worked with the first year. The reason why is because we know that we are actually benefiting them more. As long as they are transparent, as long as we know that they don't have a CEO they're paying $500,000 to, and their administrative costs are 60% of the money donations. I don't want to do that. If they do a lot with volunteers, if they have people that basically, there's sometimes executives that work in other jobs and they will also oversee the charity. So they will work for a company that oversees the charity, and that charity is related to the company, and their responsibilities sometimes are shared. So that way the charity does not pay the person any money, but they're a company that basically operates it. Um, that way they're still executives in charge, but they are not drawing a salary. And that way their operations cost might only be like 3 or 4% of the total amount. And that's mainly for the operations cost of like um, getting a vehicle to go someplace, to take people someplace, and the cost of operating that vehicle or something along those lines. Most of the time, I like them to also be very transparent with what they spend their money on, how they spend it. I want them to say on their website who their executives are, so that way you're not like, who do I need to speak to about this? Or one of the charities that I remember looking at looked great on paper, but I was looking at it as like, or not on paper, but on their website. I was like, oh, cool. This is really cool. How do I contact them? And I could not find any contact information. I'm like, then what are you existing for? If I'm like, yeah, I really need help. I need your charity. And you don't have a phone number, then why in the world, how are you able to help people? It's like, okay, if your email address is not really listed very easily, findable on your website, then how are you going to be of help to anyone that needs it? There was one charity that I found, one of the ones that ghosted me, that as soon as you go to their website, it says contact us, and the phone number is right there. If you scroll, it still has this little box that floats on the screen. You click on any of their side things, it says contact us with the phone number right there. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And I clicked on it on my phone, and it popped up instantly as a number I could call on my phone. I'm like, great. So I said, you know what? Let me try calling it. I called it up. A person answered. There was no phone tree. How can we help you? That wasn't what they said, but that was basically what that was what their message was. When they answered, there was a very calm sounding person that was there looking to help. And I told her what I was interested in doing. And she said, oh, great. Well, let me put you in contact with someone. Transferred me over, spoke to someone, and then spoke to her again. Then she never and she never told me. She said, "Well, I'll be in the office next week on Monday." Cool. I'll follow up with you then. Great. Never heard from her. So I called her back on Tuesday. This last week. No response. Called back on Wednesday. No response. Maybe if you need help, they're great, but unless I can get a little bit of information or something like that, uh, whatever. So I'll be a tax baby. Anyway, where I was going with this, about the charity, already in the system. A lot of the ones that YouTube actually has connections to are big. They're huge organizations. And those can probably become the focus of a lot of charity streams on YouTube. And there's a lot that can be said for that. Big charities are great. They're going to be under a lot of scrutiny and stuff like that. But at the same time, I like the idea of charities that are smaller, really dedicated to focus on a certain thing. The charities that don't necessarily do things like everyone else, but they do things very focused and still have a because like for example, the Gesundheit Institute. If you ever saw the movie Patch Adams starring Robin Williams, he was a doctor. He was in school. Patch Adams was that was the nickname given to the guy that was in medical school, but he went and he did not want to follow the main, the doctor way. I mean, he was very intelligent. He still did all of his work. He still got straight A's, but he also felt that like he would go along with the school and they would say, well, this patient number, 3842 has this issue and this issue and this issue. And the patient's like sitting there on a stretcher, like, well, okay, I guess you're just talking about me. And then they said, "Does anybody have any questions?" And he raises his hand and says, "What's the patient's name?" And then they look and say, "Oh, Sylvia," or whatever it was. He's like, "Okay." And then he greets the patient who was appreciative that someone actually cared about their name. Little things like that. Patch Adams, um, he graduated, even though there was people that said, "No, he's weird. He doesn't need," because he had a sense of humor. He thought that humor and there was a lot of healing the soul as opposed to just using medicine. He felt that medicine was important, but also healing the person through humor, through love and caring for actual people, that serves a purpose. So for years, we donated personally in this household to the Gesundheit Institute. But Patch Adams, his charity is one that does things differently, where he doesn't just, and there are people that are volunteering to join the Gesundheit Institute, which I believe, if memory serves, it's in the mountains someplace, and they are very small with the people that they take, and the people that work there basically donate themselves. They want to be part of what he's doing, and they donate themselves and their time to what he's doing and to the patients that are there because they believe in what he's doing. That's if memory serves. It may have changed in the past few years, but I think when I first looked it up and what they were doing, it was we were donating to them. I think in the 2008, 2009, 2010, something like that is when we first looked it up. We're researching it. I didn't expect it to be a big, massive change in the structure. But anyway, that's what the movie Patch Adams was about. So, yep, be a tax baby. Happy belated birthday, Alan. Yeah, I try not to celebrate my birthday. My daughters and my wife have different ideas. They always like to celebrate, and my family in general, but I'm like, I'm not a big birthday person. I'll celebrate everybody else, but it's not the attention. You guys know that I'm not the least bit scared of being on camera. I'm not the least bit scared of being, yeah, the focus of attention. That's definitely me. I don't mind that at all. What I do mind I just don't. I prefer to celebrate everybody every day. I just like love people. So that's why, I guess. I just like to. I don't want to be, oh, let's celebrate you and your day. It's like, it's not my day. It's all of our days. Let's celebrate together. And then, hey, ping pong, how's it going? So there we go. Okay, so there's all the latest information with regards to the Epic live stream and everything that we're doing. So yeah, I'll be vetting a new company very soon. I'm the same way. I don't celebrate. Oh, I'm the same way. Don't really celebrate my birthday. Yeah, other people will too. Hi, Alan. Or hi, ping pong and Alan. Oh, Archer's here. Hello, Archer. Okay. So yeah, there we go. Give it another moment. Drinking on camera. Luckily, my noise gate cuts out a lot of that crap. Oh, once I finish with the vetting process of the charity, I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, another thing I'm going to be doing this year for the Epic live stream is I'm going to allow professional sound companies that I know and have relationships with to sponsor an hour of the Epic live stream through a donation directly to the charity that we choose. So I'm not going to be involved in the money at all. They can donate directly to the charity. And if they do, they're going to be sponsoring an hour. So their logo will be in the upper right-hand corner where my logo currently is flashing. Their logo will be up there. At the top of the hour, I'll do a quick little spot for them. At the bottom of the hour, I'll do a quick little spot of them, and then I'll introduce the next company that's going to be sponsoring the next hour, and that is going to be a charity donation. So that's going to be one way that we're going to be gaining and raising even more money for charity by doing that. Now, this will pertain to you guys here, especially people like Ping Pong, who is one of those guys I mentioned that will stay in a stream all day long. I will commit to 12 hours. After that, in order for me to continue forth with the live stream, I don't want to just be, brain dead and continuing the stream for the sake of continuing the stream. If we want to continue past 12 hours, we're going to have charity donations in the amount of $100 or more per hour going forward, or I'll call the stream. That's not a threat. That is just me saying that I'm going to call the stream, because if it's a fundraising live stream, I want to fundraise. If the fundraising is done and people are asleep and whatever else, why should I stay up and just be brain dead and whatever? If you watch last year's stream, the first 12 hours were feature packed with everybody from the guy that won the Academy Award for sound design, Mark Mangini. He was in the Epic live stream last year, and then he won for Dune. Only a month or two after that, he won the Academy Award. So he was in our Epic live stream last year. We've had other, guests that are just that are amazing, and we were talking about sound a whole lot, but they logged off just before midnight, and it was me and Sound Speed, David Peterson. And then, if you recall, right at about midnight, when Aaron Siegel logged out of the stream, my internet died. So it was exactly at that moment my internet died and I froze on screen. And so everybody left, and it was just David in New Zealand looking at the screen like, Alan's gone now. And so if you watch the Epic live stream part 2, which is the last 5 hours and change, it was really funny because David, he's like, you kind of see his face like, this is just me, because my internet had disconnected. And so quickly I'm like, get the internet back online, log back in, and get everything going again. It was really funny. But poor David, I felt bad for him because he was just like, now it's just me holding down the fort here on this stream. But after 12 hours, pretty much everybody was gone except for me and David and whoever was watching. So that was it. That was I'm not going to keep the stream going past 12 hours if it's if the fundraising is gone, because last year I think there was only a total of maybe $50 or $60 that was raised for the charity in the last 5 hours. Maybe it was more than that. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember it was nowhere near as what it was at the beginning. But if we're taking sponsors for the first 12 hours, that's going to be a nice chunk. We're going to continue to fundraise with people in the stream and all the content creators, and we're going to have special guests. We're going to have giveaways. I do have giveaways. So I have 2 microphones, and I have whatchamacallit? One other thing that's from one of the manufacturers that they've already agreed to donate. They're going to be sponsoring the first hour of the Epic live stream, and they're going to be we'll have a ability to do a giveaway. So I'm going to be getting together all this kind of stuff later in time. So anyway, your question. What I'm hearing is $2,000 gets a 20-hour stream. Let me think. After 12 hours, if you hold all donations that you're planning on doing, and after 12 hours to get the additional 8, that would be $800. So $2,000, sure, $2,000 would get you a 20-hour stream, sure. But the actual math would be closer to $800. So yeah, if you wanted to donate or gather up people or whatever else, and you want to keep me there as long as you want to, that's fine. As long as we're getting at least $100 an hour, I think it'd be so funny to be 21 hours in, and I'll be like, dying there. My wife come in and look at me like, "You're still going?" I'm like, "Yeah, the donations are still coming in." And you're asking me questions and like having my brain completely collapse because here's one thing I have the ability to do. I have the ability to talk in my sleep. Many times, if I'm asleep and I am talking in my sleep, I will have some sort of brain function and understand what I'm saying. There are times, though, that my brain will wander and I won't know, since I'm asleep, what exactly I'm saying or doing. There was a time that I was in a summer camp, and it was at Camp Glisson in Dahlonega, Georgia. Is what they called summit camp, which is where you basically, the first day, you hike out into the woods, and there are elevated platforms that are made of wood, kind of like a dock that you would have over a lake. And then there was big, huge, heavy duty canvas tents on top of it that were permanent. And there are multiple tents. You can kind of pick where you want to have, and you throw your sleeping bag and you throw whatever else on there, so you're off the ground. And then I think we never really had an issue with bugs, so I guess they might have sprayed the legs that stand up or something like that to keep the bugs away, but we weren't really allowed to have snacks or anything in there, so there really wouldn't be anything other than us to eat. But it was me and 2 other guys, I think my 11th grade year, right before I started my senior year, that was there. Maybe it was before my 11th grade year, but all I know is in the middle of the night, I think it was the first or second night, one of the guys it was sometime in the early part of the night, this is before cell phones, and he is freaking out. He is yelling at me and the other guy in there. We're like, "What is this dude's deal?" Well, come to find out that either me or the other guy, not the guy that was standing up yelling at us, decided to say something in his sleep. And I responded to him, or he responded to me. But the thing is, though, he was not coherent. He would say random things. Me, I would respond to whatever he was saying and stay on topic. And then he would respond something else that was completely random. And so the other guy, the third guy in there, he was like, "What are you guys talking about? Go to sleep. Why are you talking? And what are you?" And finally he got overwhelmed because we were just talking nonstop in our sleep to each other. And he freaked out. He got so upset. So he just woke up and he started screaming at us. And I didn't know what was going on, but apparently the other guy would say something. I would respond on topic to him, and then he would say something else random, and then I would respond on topic to that. That is me. There was a girlfriend I dated years ago who, after we had broken up, we remained friends, and she had an issue with her computer one night. And because she had a school assignment, this was a school computer, and so she was like, "Can you help me tech this computer?" And I was like, "Oh, geez. I need to get some sleep, but sure, fine." And so I talked to her on the phone. I started teching her computer, and did the thing you're not supposed to do, which is lay down on the bed when you're talking to someone on the phone. But apparently in my sleep, I completely teched her computer, and all of a sudden I like woke up and I felt the phone on my ear. This was a landline phone back in those days. I felt the phone on my ear, and I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Oh, I guess she hung up a long time ago, and then the busy signal would have gone away because it's been such a long amount of time." But as soon as I shifted, I remembered that I had talked to her, and I addressed her by name, and she's like, "Yeah?" I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then she's like, "Well, it's almost done." I'm like, "Okay. What was the last thing that you just did? What was the last thing that we had talked about?" Because I didn't know if we were, what we were talking about at that point. And she was like, "Oh, well, you just told me to do this and this, and then said my computer is functioning so much better now." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I then had to kind of probe to find out what exactly I had done. But in my sleep, I completely typed her computer, and I had talked to her all night long while sleeping, and apparently got her computer completely functional. I have no idea what I did or how I did it, but her computer was going to require time to fix. And, because computers will have to run a process. And once you do a scan of this and do this and you reboot and you type this in. And at the time, I was a computer technician. And so I teched her complete computer in my sleep. And so I went to bed at like 1 a.m. or something like that. It was like 7 a.m. and I woke up and the phone was on my ear. And she was like, "Well, thank you so much for spending all night. You've been up all night talking to me and teching this, and my computer's working so great now. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough." I'm like, "Cool. Glad to have helped." And so I got off the phone with her, and I remember thinking to myself like, "Geez." In my sleep, I had to basically text her because I was well rested. I had slept just fine. So anyway, yeah. He was probably on LSD and reading your dream minds. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know, man. But, so anyway, in my sleep, if I were to doze off on a stream, what you would and I think I've done this before. I think I have actually on the stream before in the past. I don't know when it was, but I seem to recall being on a live stream before and being in the middle of saying something and my eyelids get heavy or my brain just kind of goes off in the background and just continuing to talk, and I don't know what I'm saying, and I hope that I'm staying on topic, and then all of a sudden caught myself and saying, "What was I talking about?" And then I kind of look at a comment and I'm like, "Oh, that's what I was talking about because it's on the screen." And then I jump back on topic because my brain wakes back up. So, if that happens again, it'll be pretty funny. But again, this time we gotta have the donations coming in for charity on the Epic live stream. Otherwise, it ain't gonna work. So that's gonna be the way it is. All right, well, we're not really having any comments or anything anymore at this time. No more questions. I guess people are going to sleep. There's 14 people still in here, but there's not really a whole lot going on. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and call the stream, and y'all have a great weekend. There is not going to be a video tomorrow, Monday. Uh, well, today, I guess, Monday, the 12/12/22. There's not going to be a video. That's kind of the reason why I did this live stream. And the reason why is because we had increased hours this last week at work, and then something happened, and I'm not gonna go into it in stream. If you really wanna know, send me an email and I'll tell you, but I had something that happened to me personally. It took a lot of my time, and, that and I also taught a class yesterday, so it's like that and basically all yesterday was complete out of pocket. I was basically gone for 12 hours a day because I had to get up, I had to go get gear, I had to get it to the place, set up and everything, teach the class, break down gear, take the gear back, fight through traffic and get home, and had some things I had to do. But, anyway, so that was it. Anyway, take care, Liberty Dude is great, seeing everybody here. Be well, take care, and good night. Thank you, Daniel. And then, of course, have a good night, Diesel, and thumbs up. So there we have it. Y'all take care. I will put this stream out. What do you know? I mean, this stream will probably be available instantly, but it will be in lieu of a video for the 12th. As soon as Wednesday happens and I dial in on exactly what who the charity is going to be, I'm going to release a video midweek saying, here's the information about the Epic live stream. That way you have all the information right there and you can plan accordingly. And then in the meantime, I'll be working on another video for a week after. So normally my announcement of the Epic live stream is something that usually that's the video for the week, and that would normally be what I would release tomorrow. But with the companies deciding or the charities deciding for whatever reason to ghost me, I have nothing to report, and that was what it was planned on for tomorrow. So anyway, take care, peace, like the video. Oh yes, if you'd like to. I don't ever say like, share, subscribe, and donate, but if you want to do any of that stuff, by all means, please do it. Um, because likes, I think, even though I don't do tags on live streams, except for the Epic live stream. Likes, I think, share, I think, boost things up. Usually it's related to tags. Shares, if you find anything in this video that's important, share it, I guess. What's the other one? Subscribe. You're probably already subscribed if you're here, and then donate if you want to. The way I've said it in the past, but I'll say it again. The way I look at donations is I'm not going to tell you to like, share, subscribe, and donate because, in my opinion, if you like the kind of thing that I do here, if you like the content, you'll do those things anyway. I do have the Patreon. I do have the membership. So if you're interested in either one of those things and contributing to the channel, I know Liberty is the only person in here right now that is actually a channel member that I know of. And but there's also, the Patreon there as well. So and you can also do a one-time donation if you really want to, or put it towards something if you really want to do that too. But that is at least an option if you have a desire. I never go and hunt for any of those things. Like I said, if you want to do it, you'll do it. And I'd rather it be because you want to and you get value out of what I do, as opposed to me telling you to do it and you choose to do it for that reason. So there you have it. Anyway, thank you very much for showing up tonight. What is this? The membership is great. Cool. Excellent, excellent. I love having the membership there because I'll share different things. I did a video. I didn't do a video for the 2-year membership, Mark. I think last year, Liberty, you had said to me something about pop rocks. You had said to me on one of the live streams, you should get some pop rocks and try that. Try those. So what I did in a video for the 1-year membership anniversary, I did a video. I said, send me a link to the pop rocks you want. And you sent me a 24 pack of like big thing. And so I took all of those pop rocks. I put it inside of a big tall cup that was filled. And then when I was done with that, I went at them with a spoon, took out all of those. It was something like, what was it? 1,500 grams of sugar or it was some stupid amount of sugar. It was insane. And then when I was done with that, I went straight with a Zip Fizz and then chased it down with a Coke. And that's what I did. And I did not do a video this last year for the membership. I should do something. But I don't need to do eating stuff or whatever. Anyway, I send out videos and I'll do educational things and post a picture and things like that. So that's the kind of stuff I do in the membership. And so that way you see pictures, and sometimes there'll be multiples in a week. Sometimes there won't be anything for a month, whatever. It depends on what I'm inspired to do and how I'm inspired to do it. So anyway, I went insane, but it was a lot of fun, man. So anyway, I'm going to call the stream there. Y'all take care. Thanks for joining. I will see you live again on the Epic live stream on December 30th, if not sooner. My show ends on the 13th, on Tuesday. So I may do another live stream if I get too bored and say, you know what, I missed my people. So I might do a live stream just to see what happens. Who knows? Anyway, y'all take care. I will see you again sometime in the very near future. If not, I will see you in my comments and you'll see my videos on the channel. Take care.